Dick Beatty in the tower with Les Richter as NASCAR presiding officials. And we're not too far away from getting this one underway. 188 laps, and it can be the hottest race. There's no such thing as a comfortable car that can win on this racetrack.
Start your engines.
As we mentioned earlier, such an important role here today. And I think we're going to see 15 to 20 cars perhaps, or maybe even more than that.
Command to fire the engines has been given inside the car of Davey Allison right now. He is in the third position, which is exactly where he started this race in May. First, third, and fourth are the same. There is the Tim Richmond car getting set for its start. And Bobby Allison carries our third camera today. Tim Richmond starting on the outside of the 8th row in the 16th position. The crowd came in late trying to get out of as much of this heat as possible, but now every seat is full, and we're just about set for action at Talladega, Alabama, in the Talladega 500. Talladega, Alabama, first preliminary lap being run down the back straightaway on this 2.6-mile tri-oval, bank 33 degrees on each end, 18 degrees in the tri-oval area, and as you know, the finish line is several hundred feet down from the tri-oval. The backstretch banked at 5 degrees, just enough to let the water roll off. There's the posted awards for today's program. 40 cars starting the race. The race record you see there set by Lenny Pond, of course, which is not the record now for 500 miles.
But it is the record here at the Alabama International Motor Speedway, 174.700.
Which is really covering the ground. This has always been the race of dark horses. Ran for years before we had a double winner with Waltrip, and then back-to-back along came Dale Earnhardt. And Earnhardt, starting on the outside of that front row, could spell trouble for a lot of people this afternoon when he runs up in front like that. But I'll take Davey Allison before this one's over this afternoon.
Well, Davey Allison certainly knows his way around this racetrack, winning the 500-mile race here in May, and his confidence is really as high as it can be. He and the young crew that he has, Joey Knuckles, the crew chief on the car, so certainly they're riding high. But as you mentioned, there's the heat that we see inside of Davey Allison's cars. It just goes up as he starts to roll around. But as you mentioned, Dale Earnhardt, when he qualifies that far up on a super speedway, you better watch out because he's going to be tough.
Well, it's a strong field that is contending this race this afternoon. Again, 2 7/10 of a second between first and last place through qualifying. Down they roll into the second preliminary lap. The official pace car stays on the track. Some of the official cars pulling off now, and we're getting set for the Talladega 500. It is 188 laps. As you saw from the indication in Davey Allison's car, it's mighty hot out there. They've gone to all kinds of alternatives to try and cool those drivers off. Dehydration will be a major issue.
It certainly will be. Most of the drivers have cool suits or some method of cooling themselves and trying to keep the car cool inside. And let me clarify one thing. The 500-mile record here at Talladega is 186 plus, set by Bill Elliott in May of 1985, but that was for the spring race. The record for this event that we're running today is 174.7.
The first race in May. You saw that number 26, the Kenny Bernstein car, the green and white car. That is Morgan Shepherd's ride, and for the third time this year, he's had stomach problems before race. They say food poisoning. He is in the car now, and they expect him to run to a caution, at which time Joe Ruttman, who practiced the car yesterday, he was in a training period late in the day after Grant Adcox had won the ARCA 500K event. And Ruttman is standing by in the pits to replace Shepherd in the number 26. Here we are back into turn 3.
Now, he'll be no stranger to that car, Ken, because he drove it all of last year.
And he's getting quite a... They got Alabama. Always give
man out as quickly as possible, whether it's under caution or during green flag pit stop to keep him up front. We're about ready to go.
Through the tri-oval, Bill Elliott, Dawsonville, Georgia, on the point, brings the big number 9, Ford Thunderbird to the line. Alongside comes Dale Earnhardt, and on the break, Allison tucks into third, Waltrip dropping into fourth, right behind Allison as they scoot into turn number 1.
Elliott manages to pull away just a little bit on the inside as Davey Allison gets in his draft, and the draft already working as they get up speed, and Earnhardt caught on the outside.
Falling to 5th. Earnhardt back to fifth in a quick exchange between first and second turns of positions. Back straightaway, Elliott in front, holding on, trying to take that first lap and score 5 points. Davey Allison resting in second place. Remember that Allison has run this track, Davey, at 26 years of age, as much as most of the drivers here. He has done so much testing and programs on the V6 here, just hour after hour on this course. He knows every bump and every ripple. Here he is back to the stripe, and Waltrip is tucked into third. To the line as they come across. Morgan Shepherd will find himself in fourth. Earnhardt is back in fifth. Then in sixth is the number 11, and going down on the inside, Terry Labonte challenging for the fifth spot. You see them running side by side behind the front four. There's your quartet in the lead.
And Sterling Marlin went
also on the move. Petty getting under Brett Bodine, I believe, and he's looking for some range here today. Very worried about Petty, and I'm one of them really concerned about him today. As you know, he doesn't like to take in fluids, and this is a race where you can lose 8 or 9 pounds. Dehydration an issue, and Dale Inman told me this morning, I have told him, and I'll tell him every time I can on the radio, drink your orange juice.
It'll certainly be good for him to get as much fluid in his body as possible. Of course, he's just fully concentrating on what he's doing. He is an absolute master at drafting teams.
As they come back to the line, Kel Yarborough told me sometimes he loads up on a gallon of Gatorade before a race just to try to keep that sugar level up. And in the last major outgo on a track, we have one car way high up here in turn number 1, right up against the wall. He may have lost an engine. That's number 8 or number 0, Coward's car. That's number 8.
That's
last year's winner.
Bobby Hillin Jr., a tough break for him. He had hoped so much that he could repeat as the winner here today to prove to folks that it was not a fluke when he won here last year.
Caution out. Caution coming on the track. With 2 laps complete, they race back to the line. Let's see who will win this little dice. As we come to the stripe, Elliott there, and I think they all have their hands in the air indicating they are not going to go for it. They just bring them across in position.
And, of course, no one is a lap down at this point, so there's not much need to race back to the start-finish line.
So they come across at an easy 160, 175 miles an hour here. To the stripe, Elliott across in first, in second Allison, third Waltrip, fourth Earnhardt. Up to fifth comes Bobby Allison as he shot the gap coming down through and moved around Morgan Shepherd. Now we'll be following Shepherd to see if Rutland, the Upland, California speedster, will take over in the green and white number 26. Kenny Bernstein not here today. He's racing himself out in Denver, Colorado. Major drag race this weekend there. Shepherd pit crew, I think, is getting prepared.
Well, we don't see Joe Rutland in that crew standing there, Ken.
Let's see as they come around. Let's take a look at what happened for just a moment to car number 8, Hillen.
Bobby Hillen had started back in the 20th position. This is the view from Tim Richmond as he goes into his turn number 1, and you can see the smoke erupt from the Hillen car, and Richmond moves to the inside. A very smart move on his part to get down out of the way where he could have some vision again, and Hillen very smartly moved to the high side of the racetrack out of everyone's way.
And so last year's winner has already gone back to the garage area. Hillen retires the Stavola brothers number 8, and you can see Richmond taking that evasive tactic, not wanting to get spattered with parts of bolts and tie rods that might come out through the bottom end of that engine as it let go in turn number 1. Rutland standing by. Is that Joe Rutland? I don't believe that is Joe right there.
Well, he's got his sunglasses on. And
that's Joe Rutland.
That
is Rutland.
That's not
things
good.
on the side. Let's go to Mike Joy. He can fill us in on this.
Well, it is Joe Rutman hiding behind those sunglasses. You ready to go?
I'm all set.
Well, you were going to change originally on a pace lap. I guess Morgan felt good enough to run a few laps. Did he count on running just this few?
Well, I'm sure that he felt he'd go further than this. And the important thing is the way the track is set up here, that it was not advantageous for us to change prior to the race, and that's the reason for the way we're operating it right now.
This team only has one cool suit, and you've got it, so Morgan can't be staying in the car too long. Are you coming in on this caution? When do you want to go in the car?
Well, whenever Morgan decides he's had enough, because the further he drives the car, the easier it is for me. So, so I can sit here in the shade, you know.
Well, now, Morgan Shepherd did change drivers at Charlotte Motor Speedway in May. Sterling Marlin got in relief, and when the crew put Sterling's name on the pit board, Morgan decided he had to get back in the car. He finished second. There's already been one driver change. Jerry Holden has come out of the James Hilton car, and the fellow who owns it and formerly won this race from South Carolina is behind the wheel, James Hilton.
50-year-old Jerry Holden has taken a couple of laps and brought it in. Not quite sure what that's about, but Hilton is a good hand at this business.
In fact, he's the former winner of this race, James Hilton is. Back in 1972, I believe.
One of those one-time winners of the event, of which there have been several. 1972, the time he won it. There's number 35 coming back on the track as Benny Parsons, who made a quick pit stop, and everyone is still in the lead lap with 4 laps complete here today. Elliott, taking off from the point, has really yet to be challenged. Earnhardt faded quickly back into 5th position on that start. A bit of a surprise. Davey Allison pulled up from 3rd into 2nd. We'll return with more live coverage of the Talladega 500 after this word from your locals. After 5 of 188 laps, with Bill Elliott out in front and the opportunity for a shot at the record for 10 laps held by Dale Earnhardt at 203.35. That's fallen by the wayside with this lengthy caution period while they put the speedy dry to the outside of the 1st and 2nd turn all the way in the high groove where Bobby Hillen's car erupted an engine. We're now working the 6th lap as the field comes by this time. The pace car has drawn in, and we're set to go racing another time at Talladega, Alabama. Elliott in front as they come to the line. Davey Allison in 2nd, Waltrip in 3rd, and here comes Davey Allison to the inside, making a run for 1st place. From our onboard camera, he takes the lead spot. We, at the moment, do not have an opportunity to talk to the drivers with in-car cameras today. The heat is such that it's creating some technical difficulties in that department. Back straight away. As you see them down there, Bill Elliott tucked in 2nd place and Waltrip willing to hold on for 3rd. Back up they go to over 190 miles per hour. Down into turn number 3. Elliott trying his assault on the outside, then draws right in behind Davey Allison. And we have Ford Thunderbirds running 1 and 2.
And Darrell Waltrip taking the Chevrolet in 3rd place. I think he's happy with that at the moment, Ken, just sitting there feeling those Fords out and see what he will be able to do with them later on.
Coming by to complete lap number 7. And in that front group, it's now a twosome. And then falling back just a tad is Waltrip. Waltrip getting taken by Bobby Allison, Dale Earnhardt, and Morgan Shepherd working underneath him.
And we saw what we predicted at the top of the show would happen. A couple of 3 cars get together and draft past a car. In this case, it was Darrell Waltrip that Earnhardt and Bobby Allison went by.
Bill Parsons passed 6 cars shortly after the restart. He's now up to 9th. Leaders in turn 3. Looking a little further back in the field, there you see the Allison car as it tries to dry up the Bobby Allison car, the Buick, trying to pull in with Earnhardt in a tight draft on those 2 leaders, the Fords of Davey Allison and Bill Elliott. Back in 5th is Waltrip. In 6th is Shepherd. In 7th is Kyle Petty. Going in 8th is Sterling Marlin. And the speed back up on an average lap now of about 200 miles an hour plus. Buddy, check a lap speed for you here very shortly.
Sterling Marlin leading a group down. That's Rusty Wallace just behind him and Jeff Bodine, 3-car draft.
Front 4. And here's Elliott taking another look at Davey Allison just sitting there. You can see the car slightly awash, slightly adrift as it came through that corner, just lifting a bit.
It's almost impossible for the driver running behind another car to keep it in a straight line because he's running in a draft and he sort of bounces off of the wall on each side that the car in front is pushing over the side.
Last lap unofficially at 1:1:99.6. We're checking this one off for you. Davey Allison in front, Elliott in 2nd. Bobby Allison in 3rd. Dale Earnhardt is 4th. Morgan Shepherd is in 5th. Kyle Petty staying in 6th. Sterling Marlin is in 7th, followed by Rusty Wallace, Bodine, Alan Kulwicki. Kulwicki had a great run at Pocono, Pennsylvania last week, finishing 2nd in a controversial finish with Dale Earnhardt. Now you see on the outside the number 17 of Waltrip, the orange car, coming up, that Chevrolet, looping around the Buick.
Okay, he has Kyle Petty on his tail, which is helping push him by on the outside, and then move right around Bobby Allison, it looked like, with ease.
10 laps complete, this time by. And there's the time it took to cover 2 6/10 of a mile. And all of a sudden, Morgan Shepherd falls dramatically off the pace as he came by the start-finish line. Shepherd lifting, now running high on the track, and the field sailing beneath him. So Joe Ruttman may not get a chance to do some pinch racing here today.
We didn't see smoke coming from the car, Ken, but apparently something did happen on the engine, or at least the drivetrain, he lost power.
Checking on Tim Richmond's in-car camera now. There's Richard Petty just whipping by Tim Richmond as they dive up under that 33-degree banking. Richard Petty in the car number 43, looking very strong. They had his car about as well air-conditioned as anything yesterday. In fact, they were kidding Buddy Baker, asking if they had a sweatshirt in case Richard got too cool in there. I'm sure that's not the case now.
I'm sure the cool air feels good to him, but I'm sure that he's perspiring a little as well.
Now you see A.J. getting past. Now A.J. thought he was going to have a good day. They had that car really wired in the last qualifying period yesterday. It's still early in the going. A.J., who's been a long time since he's had a victory in Winston Cup competition back in Ontario, California, 1972. That track which no longer exists. The last time he saw checkers. Hoping to change that this afternoon.
Surprisingly, Ken, the first two cars of Davey Allison and Bill Elliott have opened up a little bit of a lead, maybe 10, 12 car lengths, but they're working well together with Elliott running in Allison's draft. Maybe that's the combination they need.
12 laps complete this time by. First two cars get about a 15-car length advantage at 200 miles an hour down into turn number 1. Third place man, now Kyle Petty. Fourth is Dale Earnhardt. Fifth is Darrell Waltrip. Sixth is Allison. Seventh is Sterling Marlin. Running eighth is Rusty Wallace. Ninth is Bodine. 10th is Baker. 11th is Terry Labonte. 12th is Phil Parsons. 13th, Kulwicki. Richard Petty is just pulled around A.J. Foyt as he comes up through. There's the number 26 car on pit road. First 10 laps at an average speed of 137 miles per hour. Here's Chris Economaki on pit road.
Number 26 in with a dead engine. He said on the radio he thought the engine was broken, and it appears the lack of urgency here. Up there, fires up. They got it going again. So maybe his diagnosis was wrong, but it looks like he's going to stay at the wheel as Joe Ruttman sits standing by here, waits for the word to go in. Now the engine dies again. And he's a lap down now, and that's going to kill the chances of Morgan Shepherd in the screen number 26 in the race today. Back to you, Ken.
That's unfortunate for Morgan Shepherd and that entire race team who still keep looking for one of these races to truly come together for them.
And Ken, as we were saying a moment ago that Davey Allison and Bill Elliott pulled away, well now Bill Elliott decides he wants to leave because Kyle Petty had caught up to him.
And it's a Ford parade as Kyle Petty closes in on that front pair. Kyle, winner of the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte, North Carolina earlier this year, trying the inside and the draft not working there. See him fall back. He was all the way up. He may go back behind Waltrip in this cluster of automobiles.
He might go to the tail end of that pack if he doesn't get back in line.
Needs to tuck in. He loses more ground going down into turn number 1 as Kyle Petty gets overwhelmed in this drafting situation. All the way back. 8th, 9th, just reeling off positions on the bottom of the racetrack. He is going to fall all the way to the tail end of a 15-16 car draft.
All in about a half a lap. That's what can happen if you get out of line.
Back to 11th. Back to 11th, they're reporting. Here's Bobby Allison hanging right in there on the back end of Waltrip's car. You see a crack developing there in the bottom of Allison's windshield?
It looks like there is a small crack.
Right there in the center.
Tremendous amount of pressure on the windshields at this speed.
15 laps complete in this 2.6-mile track this time by. One early caution, and now you can really see that crack in the bottom of Bobby Allison's window as that car vibrates and shoves and dances around out there. Just because they're going slower does not make these cars any less uncomfortable. In fact, Bobby Allison says if a car is comfortable, that car is not ready to win. Look at Waltrip's car dancing to the bottom of that 33-degree banking and into the back straightaway.
It is impossible to run in a straight line, and he's just trying to find the spot behind Waltrip now that he can run reasonably comfortable. See, he dips down a little bit going into the turn, and that's a good way to pass a car, and certainly a good way to keep his car stable as he goes into the turn.
So as Waltrip dances toward the top of the track, Allison looks like he's going to move inside. That's not the case. And as they come by, they stay in that same running order. Back to the stripe they come with Earnhardt in third. In fourth is Waltrip. Now Allison makes a move on the bottom of the racetrack. Bobby Allison running wheel to wheel with Darrell Waltrip in turn number 1. And it is Allison pulling away and clearing ground, moving in on Earnhardt in turn number 2. As we look out the back of his car at some 200 miles per hour, there is Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip must be happy, however. He's running up with the leaders today and looking stout so far in this event.
He is looking very good at this point. He qualified better than he's been qualifying this year on the high-speed racetracks.
Meanwhile, in the first position is Elliott. Davey Allison right there in second. Cale Yarborough has moved from 22nd into 13th with car number 29. Cale on the mend. Leaders coming about for the 17th lap complete. Tight running formation among 12 cars in front. About 1 second separating the first 12 automobiles in turn number 1. And there you see them all.
Darrell Waltrip and Terry Labonte hooked up together to move around Sterling Marlin. Now Terry Labonte trying to move by Darrell Waltrip on the high side of the track.
Here's Bill Elliott, the man from Dawsonville, Georgia. And the siren will be ringing over the Dawsonville Pool Hall if he can stay there for the remainder of the distance. Rick Wilson has moved from 32nd to 20th in the early going in the yellow car number 4. Here's Davey Allison taking another shot at the lead. Lap car in front. He may be blocked off here. Willing to sit. Davey Allison, his perspective on car number 9, your leader, in our live coverage here on CBS of the 19th annual $539,000 Talladega 500. Bouncing down into turn number 1. They look so smooth until you're right there behind them, and then you get the idea of just how much they get jostled around. Only one driver has ever won this race from the pole, David Marcus in 1976, who qualified the Helen Ray car very well for today's race and is looking for a strong finish in car number 71. 46-year-old Dave Marcus. He's currently 15th on the field.
Dave has had some very good runs in recent races on the Winston Cup circuit and almost pulled off a win a few weeks ago at Daytona until a caution came out in the last 10 laps. He had a very comfortable lead, looked like he was going to win, and that's the only other race that they have run with the 390 CFM carburetors, and Marcus had his dialed in.
Here's Davey Allison staying right there with the leader, and down to the bottom of the track, his father, Bobby Allison, trying to make his move. Let's go to the pits for this report on Bobby Hillen.
Watches his teammate go around the racetrack. Talk about from the penthouse to the outhouse. Last year, first car to finish, and this year, first car out of the race. What happened?
Well, it's tough luck, you know. I think a rod broke. We were really running strong. And I just want to thank Miller, Buick, and Pennzoil and TRW. They stuck with us all year long. We got a tough season. The car was running great. I was passing cars. I was probably moved up to about 9th, 10th spot already. It seemed like anyway, and we just got to get them next time.
You going to stick around for relief duty?
I'm going to stick around. Hopefully I can get in somebody else's car and win the race.
Okay, that's Bobby Hillen. Ken?
Thank you, Mike. A change of positions up in front as we watch them squirm through the tri-oval. In front is Davey Allison. In second is Elliott. Then comes Earnhardt, and now Terry Labonte, who was 11th just a couple of laps back, is in 4th position. Terry Labonte, the Junior Johnson car, and they're hungry for a win in the Junior Johnson stable. Up into the 4th position, back straightaway. There you see them, diving, darting, trying to stay in that draft and still get an edge. The smaller carburetor keeping them all together. And here comes Elliott for a shot at first place on Davey Allison. Joey Knuckles' prepared car. The old kiddie court really doing a magnificent job of keeping Davey Allison's car in racing trim. So as Davey Allison continues to lead, Terry Labonte beginning to make his move from 4th. We'll pause for these messages and then back with more live coverage from Talladega. And moving out there on this racetrack, as there seems to be a problem on one of the cars. Did Davey Allison's car tuck back in there for a moment? Lap car. That was the McDuffie car, number 7, getting overwhelmed. Davey Allison still very much in second place. The first rookie to start in the front row of the Daytona 500. Did it this year. And here's Bobby Allison, who continues his assault, currently running in the 5th position. Back straightaway. And again, it's over 200 miles per hour in this tight draft. Robert Yates, the engine man for Davey Allison's car in that 2nd spot. They seem to have that one fine-tuned today for him. He used to build engines for his father, Bobby. And there you see the front 3, and notice who's into 3rd. Car number 11, Terry Labonte. The Junior Johnson team really have their eggs in the right basket this afternoon.
He is running very strong. Terry has had some good runs on this racetrack in the past. He's never won here, Ken, but he came awfully close several different times. He was a subject of a photo finish in 2 or 3 different 500-mile races here, so certainly he knows his way around here, and as you said earlier, he is hungry for a win.
Well, indeed, they do not have a win in 1987, and the last time a Junior Johnson car went this far into a season without a win, I believe, was 1970, back in the days of Leroy Yarborough. Won his only race that year in October at Charlotte.
He finished second to Davey Allison in the May race here, so he, again, has had some very good runs on this high-speed racetrack.
Labonte in front of Allison now as he continues his move. Terry Labonte, 1984 Winston Cup champion, driving for Junior Johnson. Storming up into the front. Surprise here, Ned?
I don't think anything's much of a surprise today, Ken, because these cars were so equal. There are so many in the field that are capable of winning. Now, some of them have dropped back. We expected maybe to see 15 or 20 cars up in the lead draft, but maybe some of them are having a little bit of a handling problem. When they get an opportunity to come into the pits and make some adjustment on their chassis, I think that we will see them get bunched up again.
Bobby Allison dropping back to 9th here as you see them drafting tightly. You were in on it when they started drafting. What was it like in those days?
Well, certainly it was a learning experience for all of us because we had never done it before, running on the short tracks and the dirt tracks that we were accustomed to up until the Daytona International Speedway was built, and that's when we started the drafting technique. But the cars were so different then than what they are today. Certainly not as fast, but they were bigger cars, opening up a bigger range of air for the car behind you. You could be back 10, 12 car lengths behind the car and pick him right up and draft up on his bumper. You can't do that today. You got to be within a car length or so if you're going to get much advantage from the draft. Of course, the cars were much higher off the ground back then. Didn't generate nearly as much heat in the cars as they do today.
Let's go to Chris Economacky.
I'm in Richard Petty's pit where crew chief Dale Inman says Richard, whose car's the only one in the race with 2 refrigeration systems to keep him cool, is not handling properly. However, as an insurance factor, Joe Ruttman is sitting down here waiting to take over the car. This 500-mile race is only the beginning of a very, very long day for Richard Petty. For as soon as the race is over, he flies to San Francisco to get on a plane for Australia. And 12 hours from now, he'll be over the Pacific Ocean, part way to Australia to check out a super speedway down there. Back to you, Ken.
Where they expect to be racing this November. First race down there. They've already shipped some 20 cars from Dick Hutcherson's stable to Australia. And we may begin to see NASCAR racing going international. No better country to start it in than in Australia. Kyle Petty. There you see the number 43 of Richard Petty running outside of the top 15 at the present time. Kyle is in 10th, Kyle Petty. He has lost the draft. He's now 2.1 seconds behind 9th place Bobby Allison. There you see the 3 leaders, and then back and forth the yellow and blue colors of Dale Earnhardt with 5th Sterling Marlin, 6th Waltrip, 7th Wallace, 8th Baker, 9th Bobby Allison, 10th Kyle Petty, 11th is Bodine, 12th is Phil Parsons, 13th Kaylee Yarborough, 14th Lake Speed, 15th Alan Kowicki, and 16th Tim Richmond. There you see the number 17 car of Waltrip. He continues to stay out there and now be challenged by Rusty Wallace, who's had just terrible luck with engines. Wallace is gun shy now. Whenever he even thinks it's close to an engine blowing, he reaches over and hits the switch. Sometimes he says he wonders about that he may cut it off prematurely. But so far, he's hit it on the button. Buddy Baker was saying that he's been so gun-shy about engines, he reached over and turned one off the other day and then thought, oh, what the heck, it's probably okay. Turned it back on, and he said it was just about like a reenactment of a 105 howitzer going off when the engine let go.
Well, we saw Rusty here on CBS at Michigan a few weeks ago and challenging for the lead, and he developed an oil leak in the oil pan of the car. He had a very similar problem last week at Pocono, Pennsylvania, which cost him a possible victory. Not anything internally wrong with the engine, just a crack in the oil pan.
30 laps are down. Drafting has become a lost art. But here in Talladega, with NASCAR's new carburation limitation, drafting once again takes on greater importance and is key to success.
Well, that's the way I learned how to race here. Had to draft everything that moved, a pace car or anything.
You're going to have to draft, you're going to have to slingshot, you're going to have to really work the draft better than you ever have before to be able to run good and try to get to the front here.
You just can't seem to pull out and pass anybody like you used to.
It puts the driver back in control of the car, and I think it just makes for a better race.
Some of the drivers that in the past have come down here and tried to run on strictly horsepower and handling are going to find themselves in the inside lane while everybody's going by in the fast lane outside.
The famous Talladega draft, the train of cars, is going to be longer than ever.
Not only is drafting a key element here today, but for certain the heat. Here's Mike Joy.
big difference, Ken, between the haves and the have-nots. Here in the Wood Brothers pit, everybody's out in the open. A couple of umbrellas for shade. Even these tires are heating up so much crewmen have to work every couple of minutes to change the pressures. But look just down the street to this beautiful pit-side condominium. There are 2 of these along pit road. They were built by Saab for car durability testing in the summer heat. The Winston Cup champion gets his first pick of pit position. So Dale Earnhardt has this one. The one further down, the fastest qualifier, Bill Elliott, picked next. And naturally, his crew is enjoying the shade this afternoon. And boy, it does make a difference.
There you see those leaders. They'll all be wanting to build their own little areas for shade another year here. It's always been an issue, the heat situation. Back in the old days, my goodness, there's enough to warm the heartles of one's heart for sure. In the old days, they had windows on both sides of these cars, and so the question naturally would be, well, what's the big deal? They only have the window on the right side, but things are far different in those days, Ned.
Yes, they are, Ken. The cars are lower to the ground now. The engines...
We've got a car out of control, spinning, crashing into the infield off turn number 2. There's a second car in trouble on the outside wall. I'm not so sure if that's Brett Bodine's car on the bottom of the racetrack. Second car is rusty. That's number 75, Neil Bonnett's car.
Who is in second place in the Winston Cup point standings going into this race.
Still looking for his first win this season, but just finishing so well time after time. And now serious trouble for Neil Bonnet, a big favorite here. The man of steel himself from Bessemer, Alabama, crashing in turn number 2. Caution is out for the second time today. This happening in the 32nd lap of the Talladega 500 as we watch it live.
And they were about ready for pit stops within the next 4 or 5 laps.
That is Brett Bodine's car number 1 that has had trouble here. The Haas Ellington car. His elder brother Jeff in car number 5.
Brett, of course, is a rookie on the circuit this year.
Tragedy struck right there yesterday. The driver in the ARCA race was killed at that very place. We'll get into that story in a moment as we wait here on car number 75 and 1, which have crashed in turn number 2. Still no signs inside of the Bonnet car or in the Brett Bodine car number 1. The rest of the field goes on to pit road, and here's Chris Economaki in Dale Earnhardt's pit.
Pouring the drinks that was giving him down his driver's suit. He's taken his gloves off. He complained on the radio to his car owner that his hands were burning up. Now he's putting his gloves back on as the car undergoes routine servicing. Richard Childress said his hands and feet were burning up. He threw out his right-hand glove on the ground here. So Dale Earnhardt is suffering the consequences of this very hot day. Back to you, Ken.
They were piping, trying to get air into the Jimmy Means car, and as it came in, it would come straight across onto the steering wheel, and it blistered his fingers in 12 laps with a glove on. That's how hot it is in the Jimmy Means car number 52 today. As car number 17 came out, Waltrip, he came out very slowly and maybe showing a bit of smoke as he came off pit road. Meanwhile, they continue to work on cars number 75, which has slapped the outside wall, and car number 1, Brett Bodine, in the back straightaway out of turn number 2. We are under caution for the second time today. First major incident of the day. Here is Mike Joy in Neil Bonnett's pit.
I'm with Bob Rahilly, the engine builder and co-owner of the car. Have you talked to Neil? Has he said what happened?
Yeah, he's all right. He said Brett Bodine lost his car coming off of turn 2, and there was nothing Neil could do, go on the wall to avoid him.
So they'll tow that car back on the hook. It is Brett Bodine's first appearance at Talladega, though he's run well on the other super speedways this season.
Well, there's the report on Bonnett's car. You can see him going in, the ambulance pulling away for the mandatory check here to make sure that he is all right after this crash in turn number 2.
So it's good news that he had talked to his crew and that he was okay, and now there's Brett Bodine's car as the safety crews attend to him.
Now, we've had a report that car number 17, Darrell Waltrip's car, the extinguisher system went off. We thought it was smoke, that the extinguisher system went off inside the car, and that reminds me of one of the great stories in racing about Mr. Jarrett's experience.
You know, Ken, when I decided to retire from racing, the folks at the North Carolina Motor Speedway did it up right with a big day and all of that. And I said that one of the reasons that I was retiring, that I was the current champion at that time, and people have a tendency to remember you for the last thing that you did. And I wanted them to remember me as the Grand National Champion of NASCAR. Well, lo and behold, I accidentally set the fire extinguisher off that day. So people do have a tendency to remember you for the last thing you did. That's the thing they remember.
Let's take a look. Let's see what happened right now with Darrell Waltrip's car. Here's Bobby Allison giving us this view as they come down. And on the right side, here comes Darrell.
Wow.
Old Smoky.
Yep, from the inside.
And we're right on top of it.
And I'll tell you, that stuff doesn't breathe very well either.
We'll be back with more action from the Talladega 500 live on CBS after these messages. Ken Squire here topside at the start-finish line with 35 of 188 laps complete at Talladega. Pit stops are the order of the day, and Dave Marcus, the only man to win this race from the pole, out of Wisconsin, is leading. Dale Earnhardt second, Labonte third. Then Davey Allison is being shown in the fourth position, and Ken Schrader, the Missouri driver who came across upside down at Daytona on the Firecracker 400, is in fifth. Sterling Marlin is in sixth. Bobby Allison maintaining seventh. Buddy Baker is in eighth. Rusty Wallace from Missouri is ninth, and Darrell Waltrip rounds out the top 10. Now, Marcus has just pitted as we started that, and so that'll bring them up a notch. We have 37 laps being worked right now.
So many times this year, Marcus has stayed out on caution periods to pick himself up 5 bonus points. Anyone who leads a lap gets 5 bonus points, and he has done that in many races this year, and it's very smart on his part. Then, of course, he's back far in the field on the restart, but as a result of making a last-second pit stop.
As we look at Brett Bodine's car being picked up, we are still under caution after this 2-car incident at turn 2. As we look at friends and families of these racing teams perched high atop the 18-wheelers around this track, one is aware of just how far the art of getting a car to the track has come. Ned Jarrett looks back a few decades.
The road to victory has always been difficult. Time was just getting to the track was a preview of the race itself. It's part of the lore and legend of stock car racing that the sport was born when moonshiners drove out of the hills on Sunday, painted a number on the side of the car, slapped on a few stickers, and battled each other around the dirt tracks.
When I originally first started driving, you drove your car to the racetrack, and you'd haul all your equipment inside the car, so you just back your car up in the pits and unload all the equipment out of it and get it and go on the racetrack with it that way.
The cars they raced on Sunday would run White Lightning on Monday, but after a while, racing became more profitable than running whiskey, so drivers started taking better care of their race cars than their shine cars.
After a few years, you was flat towing the cars to the racetrack with another car of some sort. And then it got where you had a little truck that you was pulling them on a trailer behind it. And then the next thing came, you might say, a ton truck with a trailer, which was a little bigger than a pickup or something.
In the 60s, the winning crews moved up to a truck that could carry tires, tools, even an extra engine. If you rolled along like Richard Petty, you were in high cotton. Then in the early 70s, we started using these luxurious 18-wheelers, which can haul 2 cars. They're complete rolling machine shops. But luxury is really not my thing, so I brought in an expert on the subject.
Thank you, Ned. This is Robin Leach with Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous Stock Car Rigs. As Junior Johnson so eloquently stated, transporters have improved immensely over the last few years. Besides cars, of course, the Johnson Enterprises truck features simple but functional Formica cabinetry with a modern microwave oven that for some reason contains a hat. Jeff Bodine has elevated stock car luxury to a new vista. Hand-rubbed cherry cabinets house an attractively painted gas can. As we gaze down the sumptuous centerway of the trailer, which usually houses 2 ready-to-race cars, we see the entrance to the Bodine inner sanctum. As we enter his onboard office, one is immediately impressed with the inlaid floors featuring Jeff's personal racing walk of fame. To escape the pressures of the racetrack, this truck is equipped with stereo, television, microwave, and all the modern means of diversion. As we all know, the rich and famous almost always support worthy causes, and these racing teams and their transporters are no exception. Let's get back to Ned Jarrett with that part of the story. For Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, I'm Robin Leach.
During the worst of last summer's drought in the Southeast, 50 NASCAR racing teams donated their tractors to haul badly needed hay from Ohio down to the Carolinas. Racing's biggest names were on hand when the Hayride 500 rolled out of the Charlotte Motor Speedway on its mission of mercy.
My dad even donated some of the hay. He's not a farmer, but he has some land, and he has farmers do the hay, and he bought the hay back from the farmers to give to the project.
Then the boys with the racing operation, Winston Cup Racing, donated their time and trucks. Somebody donated the trailers to get them up here.
It was the slowest 500 ever run, but it was Winston Cup Racing's finest hour.
We're back with you live, along with the 105,000 other race fans here at Talladega, Alabama this afternoon. Estimated crowd. You're inside Davey Allison's car. Dale Earnhardt is in first. Terry Labonte is in second. And Davey Allison, this is CBS Race Control. Do you read us?
I can just barely hear you, Ken.
Trying to pick up Davey Allison. There you see him.
How's it going out there, Davey?
Everything seems to feel pretty good right now. The car was starting to pick up a little push, and we just made an adjustment on the car. So we're looking forward to getting this thing back underway.
Okay, you're about ready to go to green. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Getting ready for the green flag to come out still another time here. This will be the third time back to green this afternoon. And as they come down, it will be Earnhardt first, Labonte second, Davey Allison third, Ken Schrader fourth, Sterling Marlin fifth, Bobby Allison sixth, Buddy Baker seventh, Rusty Wallace is in eighth, Darrell Waltrip ninth, Jeff Bodine is in 10th, Bill Elliott back in 11th with Kyle 12th, Phil Parsons 13th, Alan Kowicki 14th, 15th Lake Speed, 16th Tim Richmond, 17th is Richard Petty, 18th Cale Yarborough, 19th Rick Wilson, and 20th Ricky Rudd on the break.
And Dale Earnhardt gets up through the gears in a hurry. Of course, he has company right on his bumper, but Earnhardt is the leader.
Three cars tightly tucked in there for the lead, and they get a big jump out in front as this race gets back underway. Almost a second back to the fourth place car as that trio really got the jump, hooked up in a draft, and away they went. Earnhardt, Labonte, Davey Allison, front three. Back to turn number 3. Here's Earnhardt, who is batting .500 this year, has won 8 of 16 races to date.
Ken, one car is not up to speed. Sterling Marlin, who was up in that front-running pack before this caution came out, is definitely slow, and it looks like he's coming into the pits as the leaders go by the start-finish line.
In fourth is Ken Schrader, and fifth is Bobby Allison, with 6, Darrell Waltrip. Working lap number 41. And here is Sterling Marlin on pit road. Here's Mike Joy.
They're going to have to put right-side tires on Sterling's car. Little trip with the jack, and they're going around to put on all 4. No change of plan. They're hoping that if he had a tire equalized, that it was on the right side and it'll go back out. If it was a left side tire, the car will start vibrating again. He'll have to come back in.
Again, sometimes it's difficult for the driver to tell if he has the tire to equalize which side it is on. So there, as Mike Joy said, gambling, hoping it is the right side. He stayed in the lead lap.
Davey Allison going to second. Davey Allison busting for the lead. Davey Allison striking, taking first place. At the end of the 41st lap, Davey Allison sets the Lundy-Ranier colors back into first place here at Talladega, Alabama. In second spot, there you see Earnhardt, and maintaining third is Terry Labonte. Looking further back, the rest of the field clambering up through as Allison made his move. It gave the rest of the runners an opportunity to close in that lead trio.
Yes, he did. And Bill Elliott, the fans, I'm sure, would be wondering, where was he? He was up front when this caution came out. Well, he was a little slower getting out of the pit, so he was back about 12th or 15th, but he's beginning to work his way up through the pack now.
Indeed he is. Slicing his way through, we'll check him this time by to see where Elliott rides in this field. Marlin just about 2 seconds in front of the trio leading this race. And in 12th position is car number 9, closing on Lake Speed, going down into turn number 1. All right, there's the threesome up in the lead. Right rear tire was the problem on Sterling Marlin's car. He's trying to stay out there by himself and stay in front of this choo-choo train that continues to meander down the back straightaway.
And that choo-choo train is coming closer together as Kenny Schrader is leading a pack of cars. He's running in the 4th position, and they are bearing down on those front runners.
Here comes Waltrip on the outside. Tim Richmond down low. as they take them to the limit. Right up on the banking. Waltrip making his move. Tucking in goes Richmond and dancing it back out again.
He's trying to find a spot that he can pick up somebody's draft that's a little faster than he is, or at least as fast as he is, and he doesn't want to get himself out of line as Jeff Bodine just did, and Jeff fell back several positions.
Lake Speed right there with Waltrip. Bill Elliott harbored back in about those spots, too. Average speed is slow. It's still 146.9 through 40 laps, as we've had cautions galore in the early going. A lot of drivers looking to win for the first time here this afternoon. This is the race where it's happened. Lake Speed, Alan Kowicki, Sterling Marlin, Brett Bodine. He's out of this race now, but Rick Wilson is still very much in it. Mike Waltrip, Phil Parsons, very much apart. And here's Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt's number 8 down on the inside as he tries to move back into contention for the lead. Hood rippling just a little on car number 3 and fending him off. Here's Davey Allison back up in front and drawing along on the outside Terry Labonte. Incredible pictures live here from Talladega, Alabama.
Labonte's car is very strong, Ken. He's running on the outside, but now that he and Earnhardt are running side by side, giving Davey Allison an opportunity to pull away a little.
The train on the outside looks like it may pick up some momentum, and that Earnhardt may fall back here. He could be trapped. It shows how much strength that number 3 car has to stay down on the bottom and do its own job and stay right in there. It's only running just a few car lengths back from that leader. You would think that Davey Allison could draw away as these guys run 2 abreast. That's usually where you see the break. Not true today.
No, it isn't, and that's very surprising. As they begin to move up on Sterling Marlin, Davey will begin to pick up the draft on Marlin. Of course, he is about to go a lap down after making that unscheduled pit stop.
18 cars drafting for the lead. And look at Earnhardt's car sticking on the bottom of the racetrack. The leader beginning to get a little advantage just in front of these 2 cars dicing for second place.
And both of those drivers, Labonte and Earnhardt, are hoping that one of those cars behind will come up and give them some help. And it looks like Bobby Allison has just done that to Terry Labonte.
Sterling Marlin's car about to be lapped by the leader, Davey Allison, who whips down to the inside. Davey Allison lapping Sterling Marlin right here in turn 4. This happening in lap 46. Allison first. And as they come back to the stripe, it is a dogfight of major proportion. For second place, give it to Bobby Allison by 3 feet. Earnhardt on the inside of him as they press into the turn. And for third spot, Labonte up there in that second position. Running the lap speed for you on this lap. Earnhardt happy to handle that car on the bottom of the racetrack, and the crowd is standing as these guys continue to pour it on in this tremendous heat. Here's Tim Richmond coming in on Tim Baker. On Buddy Baker. Tim Richmond moving up on Buddy Baker in 5th position. And falling back a little here is Earnhardt.
He got out of line, and that cost him. He was running down on the inside of the track. His car was certainly working well down there, but he got out of the draft, and that cost him a few positions.
To the trioval, back to the stripe in 48.5, that last lap on this trio. And the car in the middle of that trio is a lap down, Sterling Marlin. Darrell Waltrip falling back to 15th, 18 cars running in the lead draft.
An interesting situation up front. Davey Allison, after he passed Sterling Marlin, was able to pull away and opened up a pretty good lead on Terry Labonte, but now Labonte has caught Sterling Marlin, helped to pull both of them back up to Davey Allison. So, as we have said, Terry Labonte's car is very strong here today.
From the rear of Davey Allison's car, watching that man on the inside, Terry Labonte, clearly in second place, moving around, and he is putting a lap on Sterling Marlin. As they come by over 100,000 racing enthusiasts out here, temperature a little over 95 for the fans. And inside those race cars, just about unbearable. Takes 40 pounds of weight to run one of those cool suits in one of these cars. They have to rebalance the car just for the cool suit and for the apparatus to run it. And some of them are doubling up on that kind of equipment. So roll center is not nearly as much an issue here as keeping the driver cool.
No, it isn't. That's a prime factor here today. Richard Petty's car is in the pits, Ken.
Number 43 is in. See the hole they've cut in that back aqua window on that car as they tried to drain some of the hot air out. The story has been that the air has just built up behind the driver, and it sits there stale and hot and under caution, absolutely unbearable. The temperature's so hot in there, and you're breathing nothing but hot air. Let's see what's happening with Richard Petty's number 43, still on pit road. As we know, Joe Ruttman is standing by to assist should Richard want some relief in the course of this Talladega 500. More of the action with now 50 laps complete at Talladega after 9 laps complete on the Budweiser scoreboard here at Talladega, Alabama. Davey Allison was leading, Terry Labonte in second, Buddy Baker in third, Dale Earnhardt fourth, and Bobby Allison was in fifth. And the second 5 showed Tim Richmond leading the group with Bill Elliott winding his way through traffic. Ken Schrader next, followed by Cale Yarborough, and rounding out the top 10, Lake Speed having an excellent day. Here's Chris Economaki.
Well, one more pit is being emptied out early here at Talladega. Richard Petty coasted to a stop a few moments ago. A burned piston knocking his number 43 Pontiac out of the race. And so the crew packs up to go home early. Richard Petty will get his early start for Australia today. Back to you, Ken.
Richard Petty had been running in the 15th position. Here's Mike Joy.
Yes, Ed, we're ready. You're looking at debris from Neil's car, and then we'll go get Richard. Here is Neil Bonnet having a look at the race that he sure wishes he was still in. What happened up there?
Coming off the second turn, Brett Bodine's car was directly in front of me, just turned sideways, and there's nowhere to go. I hit him right in the side, and then all I did was start bouncing down the back straightaway.
Trying to steer it all the way.
Well, I was trying to keep it up against that fence as best I could, but after about the 5th or 6th loop, it was a handful.
Neil is okay. The same cannot be said for his Pontiac. Little ding in the back, but look at this pile of junk over here. Only reason they've ripped this off the car is to make it easier to load back on the truck. Just talked to Brett Bodine. He is okay. The Haas Ellington car, new just 2 races ago, goes to the scrapyard.
So that's unfortunate for Brett Bodine, and I'm sure Jeff Bodine, they've already told him on the radio the condition of his brother and relieved his mind from that incident in turn number 2. Right about there is where they got loose, and you heard from Neil Bonnet what happened. Just had no place to go, and that happens so many times in this track. You get one move and maybe not even that.
It really does, Ken. You don't have a lot of time to make moves, and you certainly don't want to make a dramatic move at any time, because the speeds that you're running here can get you in a lot of trouble if you make dramatic moves. So you just don't have time to do that.
There you see car number 11, Junior Johnson's machine for Terry Labonte, perched on the rear bumper of Davey Allison's car number 28 as the scramble continues for the front position. Back in third, it is Dale Earnhardt, while up to fourth moves Bill Elliott, and to fifth, it's Buddy Baker. Baker has slid back a couple of positions, but Baker's Oldsmobile looks formidable out here this afternoon.
It does. He likes this racetrack, has won 3 500-mile races here. And talking about Elliott moving up through there, it hasn't been that long ago, Tim, that we saw him back in 12th position. So he is running very strong.
And here's Tim Richmond in 6th. Let's go back to Mike Joy.
You're looking to Richard Petty in the garage area. The STP Pontiac is parked, and Richard is getting unhooked from all the paraphernalia that accompanies him to get him into this car so he can run 500 miles. He's still got that toothpaste smile on, though, even though it's been a short afternoon. A couple more tubes come unhooked. Sorry to add another wire here to the pile, but
get on in. I've got plenty of room.
How are you?
I'm doing all right. We burn a piston. We run and with the small carburetors and all that stuff, just don't get enough air and fuel and stuff in there. And I guess it got more air than it got fuel and wound up burning a piston.
Were you getting enough air?
Yeah, I was doing okay. I could have been running a little bit further up, but as many cars are running so close, you're foolish to go up and probably 3 or 4 more positions ahead and get in trouble. So we're just riding around there at the end of the line, just keeping up with the crowd. And I don't know if we could have passed anybody if we'd have tried, but anyhow, we were just trying to keep up and kind of stay cool.
Well, he's still got the big smile on. Sorry to see out of it, Richard.
Okay, we'll try next time.
While the leader of the pack may be in question, Davey Allison there for a moment, the man who is moving through the crowd is car number 9, Bill Elliott. Elliott has just overwhelmed Dale Earnhardt to pull himself into the 3rd position. Labonte is in 2nd. Deployed in 1st is Davey Allison. Earnhardt is back to 4th. Buddy Baker 5th. Tim Richmond 6th. Lake Speed 7th. Cale Yarborough 8th. In this dramatic race at Talladega, Alabama, with now 57 laps complete.
Well, Bill Elliott is certainly on the move. He was, after the pit stop, he was back at least in 15th position. We picked him up in 12th position, and he has gradually picked them off one at a time and has come up and almost caught the leader. That car is strong.
Elliott's car now trying to pull away from the number 3 of Earnhardt, and here he is moving in on those 2 leaders. Elliott definitely looking like the Elliott of a couple of years ago.
And he is actually helping Earnhardt to pull up to him as well. Earnhardt was back there struggling with that pack, trying to get away from them. But when Elliott came by, he tacked on to the draft and has been able to pull away from the pack behind him and is getting closer to the front runners.
And there you see that flock of cars, just a covey of these 500 to 600 horsepower machines rolling out of turn number 2. Cale Yarborough's number 29 right in the hunt and looking very strong. They've had trouble finding the handle the last 2 or 3 days, but they certainly, after yesterday's final practice session, have come much closer, and they must be very happy with how he's doing. Meanwhile, Terry Labonte closes in on Davey Allison. Ford versus Chevrolet, first and second place in our live coverage of the 19th annual Talladega 500 for $500,000. And closing up behind Labonte, here comes number 9, Bill Elliott into it. Elliott is right up on the rear bumper. Comes around a lap car. Takes a peek at the inside. You can see him turning that car almost sideways as he brings it down off the 33-degree banking from Davey Allison's vantage point. Looking out the rearview mirror, this is what he's seen. Terry Labonte closes up. Will Elliott make a move going into turn number 3? Here they are into 3, and Elliott, for the moment, sits there, but he takes the car low right down to the apron, right against the line. You don't want to go over that line or it'll throw you right out of the park.
Now, many of the cars that he passed coming up through there, Ken, he passed on the outside, but he's now just sort of feeling those 2 out. But these 2 cars are faster than any he has passed so far making his move.
60 laps complete. Back and forth is Earnhardt. Tim Richmond to 5th, and Lake Speed having a tremendous run in 6th. There's that trio, and there's the view from the first place car looking back at Labonte. Dale Earnhardt willing to ride about 7-8 car lengths back from this trio up in front, as Davey Allison tries to do what no rookie's ever done, and that is win 3 races in his rookie season. Back again into the banking. Allison's so smooth. Of course, he's run here in ARCA races. He has run here doing a lot of testing, and we'll see if he's able to hold on to this. We'll return with more live coverage of the Talladega 500 after this word from your local...
The 500 is sponsored by Mr. Goodwrench. No one knows your GM car better than Mr. Goodwrench. No one. Skin Bracer Aftershave takes care of men who take care of their skin. Skin Bracer by Menon. And by Micotin. It cures athlete's foot. Step up to the mic.
Next weekend, CBS Sports presents a great day of boxing. You'll see the make-or-break battle between Mike McCallum and Donald Curry as they duel for the junior middleweight championship. You'll also get a look at some of America's up-and-coming young boxers fighting to represent their country at the Pan Am Games. That's the Pan Am box-offs and the Junior Middleweight Championship next weekend here on CBS Sports. 63 laps are complete. Up in front, Davey Allison has the advantage. And now we have Fords in first and second, as Bill Elliott trundles into that second position, dropping the number 11 Junior Johnson Chevrolet into third position. In the fourth position, it is Dale Earnhardt. In 5th is Tim Richmond. 6th is Lake Speed. And there in 7th is Cale Yarborough. And therein lies the story. Cale Yarborough, struggling with a new team this year, put an all-new organization together. And one of his crew members was 26-year-old Tracy Reed of Lake Village, Indiana. Tracy wanted more than anything to be a racer. Yesterday, he was out here in the ARCA event, attempted to dodge Kirk Bryant's car in turn 2, and at over 190 miles per hour, struck the inside bank at turn 2 and succumbed to the injuries. Tracy was to have been married a week from Sunday, a week from today. He was a kid that just loved to race. Cale Yarborough said, "We are going to miss him so much." He sat on the pole here in May for the ARCA event. His dad, Gerald, was part of his pit crew yesterday, and all of the Cale Yarborough crew were pitting Tracy Reed's car when it had that crash. Tracy had been a part of Cale's team from its beginning in 1987. They're all wearing black armbands today, and it's tough going. Our condolences to the family, to Karen Newham, and to his entire teammate out here today, still soldiering on with car 29.
Well, it certainly was a sad day for that team and for motor racing in general here, Ken. We're sorry to see that happen.
The Yarborough car running today for Tracy Reed and currently in 7th position.
Well, Bill Elliott has caught himself down on the inside, and the train goes by him on the outside as Terry Labonte, Dale Earnhardt, Tim Richmond, and here goes Lake Speed around Elliott on the outside.
Look at him fall all the way to the back. He tried that inside. You think he's still maneuvering? There's plenty of time in this race.
Plenty of time. Bill Elliott will not take a lot of chances in traffic, Ken, and he might have been in a position, maybe his car overheated when he got up there behind Allison, or maybe he said, hey, I don't want to be running this close at this stage of the race. Let me back out of here and get myself a little more running room. I don't know.
How long will it take him to make that back up?
Well, it didn't really take him that long, some 20 or 25 laps to pick him off from back where he was earlier, just one at a time as he came up through there. But he's dropped back a little bit now. I wonder if he might be having an overheating problem with the car because he's dropped back by himself completely.
Again, only one car has won it from the pole. That was the Dave Marcus effort. And right now, Bill Elliott, who started from the point at better than 203 miles per hour, is dropping back behind that lead draft.
And Ken, Jimmy Means, one of the so-called independents in this sport, is behind the wall with his car number 55, and he's sick and looking for a relief driver. So Jimmy, who has a new sponsor here for this race, and we're sorry to see him having to pull the car behind the wall.
You can see cracks in the windshield of Tim Richmond's car. That's the 8th different sponsor. He picked up a vacuum cleaner. You know, we don't usually talk about it. He's had a car magazine. He had Car and Drive, and then he had In Fisherman this year. Then he had a salvage yard. Now he has the Eureka Vacuum Clean Company on the car number 52 of Jimmy Means. And he really has done. He's had 2 races without any sponsor, but he keeps working at it.
Yes, he does.
Well, let's hope that he is not too badly under the weather. He was having his 11-year-old son has been down there helping him. The kid's a good mechanic.
Yes,
changing transmission yesterday.
And of course, he looks forward to the day perhaps that he can get behind the wheel. I think Jimmy hopes that he doesn't get behind the wheel, let him work in the sport, but not as a driver. I think that's sort of the trend with most of the fathers. Even though once their dads start driving, well, they're proud of them.
Well, you must be proud today because your son won his first Grand National race last night in the Bobby Isaac Memorial over in Hickory, North Carolina.
Well, it was particularly pleasing that it was at his home track, and it honored the late Bobby Isaac, who was a friend of the family. We grew up in that area with Bobby, of course, who passed away back in the mid-70s, and certainly one of the finest race drivers in the early 70s. And Dale was a good friend, good golfing buddy of Bobby, so it was nice to win a race in his honor.
Dale Jarrett out here today in the Friedlander car running outside the top 20. They also have a new sponsor and hope to have things looking much better for that team in time to come. Heat continuing to be an issue here today as we watch Davey Allison trying to draw a bit away. Earnhardt going back into 2nd place. With more of that story, let's go to pit row.
Well, the heat, fighting the heat has been an in-car job all day long, but in the pit road, there's some considerations as well. Here we see a block of ice, and on top of it is Junior Johnson, car owner for Terry Labonte in car number 11. Junior, nobody ever accused you until today of having cold feet. Is the ice working?
Well, every once in a while you got to get off at your feet. Gets so cold you can't stand it.
Jerry, what about Junior? What about Terry out there, number 11? Is he going to be able to stay with the Fords?
Well, right now he looks like he's able to stay with them. I don't think he's got anything, you know, as far as being able to beat them. But he's able to run with them. I just hope he, you know, can last, and then we'll see down at the end.
Okay, thanks very much, Junior Johnson, famous car owner, number 11, Terry Labonte, right up there with the leaders. Back to you, Ken.
Lap cars being overrun by those leaders as they single file it down out of the banking. Here they are out of turn 4, back for the tri-oval. And for the moment, Davey Allison has that advantage in this heavy lap traffic. Coming to the line, Earnhardt is in 2nd, Tim Richmond to 3rd, Lake Speed in 4th, Labonte is in 5th, and back into 6th comes Bill Elliott.
And they'll have pit stops coming up before too long, Ken. They've run about 30 couple laps here during this green flag stint, so they will be coming into the pits before too long.
And if that is the case, this is the make-or-break situation. Stopping under green. Whoever has the quick crew is going to make a remarkable difference in how this race will be decided.
1 second extra here can cost you a couple of 100 yards.
Here's Earnhardt dropping low. Is he getting ready to pit?
I think he is.
Number 3, Earnhardt may be diving on pit road. Indeed, that is the case. Earnhardt is the first of the majors electing to come on pit road. This comes at lap 71. 71st lap. Earnhardt on pit road. Davey Allison leading. Labonte now goes into second spot. Lake Speed will move into third. Here's Mike Joy.
Came in awful slow for a fella stopping under the green flag, but his crew is one of the best in the business for 2 tires and gas. In fact, they're the World Pit Crew Championship. Nothing untoward, not even a chassis adjustment. Just tires, gasoline, a cold drink, and he's gone.
14 and a half seconds and back underway. After this first pit stop, leaving Allison in front, Cale Yarborough is one of the cars clambering up through the field up into the 6th position here. Back with more live coverage of Talladega following these messages. The 500 race summary is brought to you by Quaker State, reaching for the best. After 195 miles, Davey Allison holding on to first place with Tim Richmond in second, Lake Speed in third, Terry Labonte in fourth, and Cale Yarborough up into 5th position. Taking a look at the attrition in the race, also taking a look at the number of leaders. We've had 4 with lead changes standing at 7. The average speed at 165 miles per hour, well off any record pace today, with 2 caution periods for 9 laps. Let's go to Chris Economaki for an overview to date.
The tremendous heat that was forecast for today's race has not taken its toll on drivers as yet. All of the drivers seem to be holding up very well. The pits, however, are another story. Umbrellas and parasols were brought out today. Containers of cold drinks and ice and so forth. The only driver to say he's had trouble is Dale Earnhardt, who complained about his hands and feet burning in his red-hot number 3 car in more ways than one. Back to you, Ken.
Thank you, Chris. Taking a look at the attrition thus far in the event. Bobby Hillen was out very early after 2 laps, the defending champion. Morgan Shepherd had a valve problem. Brett Bodine and Neil Bonnet brought out a major caution after an incident in turn number 2 destroyed their cars. Then Richard Petty retired car number 43, he too having some engine problems. Started 40, 35 cars remain on the field. That's our update at the moment as we follow the leader, car number 28, Davey Allison, in the backstretch. We've seen several of the leaders pit, and that brings us up to date on that.
And he has not been one of them. Dale Earnhardt, of course, pitted earlier. So has Bill Elliott. And about half of the field has pitted up to this point. They're waiting for the Davey Allison car. Cale Yarborough has yet to pit. And Terry Labonte, I believe, has not made a pit stop. But they will be coming in very shortly.
Cale Yarborough into second position as he continues his run here today. And there you see the number 3 car, which was the first car to come onto pit road, back on the track and continuing from further back with all these pit stops.
And Terry Labonte has just brought his car in for the Junior Johnson to service as Jeff Bodine goes out of the pits after making a pit stop. James Hilton goes out.
There you see Terry Labonte's car on pit road. A major contender all afternoon for the Junior Johnson team. Alan Kulwicki's number 7. Upper side of your picture there, right behind the number 11 Labonte. Kulwicki second at Pocono last week after he rubbed fenders right to the finish line with Dale Earnhardt. Getting ready to pit the leader. Davey Allison coming onto pit road. Here's Chris Economaki.
Four laps on 1 tank full of gas. Came in and got service in 14.61 seconds. But the remarkable part of the pit stop, he didn't ask for a drink. He went out without getting a drink. And now down pit road to Mike Joy.
Davey Allison getting right side tires. Joey Knuckles, the young crew chief, changing the right front, jumping, pirouetting across the car. They have to wait for that second can of gas to go in. The gas man nods that there's fuel coming out the overflow so he can get away, and he does.
And you saw that sign up for car number 29. They just put a black flag out, a consultation flag on Cale Yarborough's car.
Ken, I wonder if maybe he has lost radio contact with his crew, and they are having NASCAR to black flag him. They don't want him to run out of gas out there, so they're trying to get him in the pits.
So there's extra drama for Cale Yarborough here now in this extraordinary condition. He may have lost radio control, and they're trying to find a way to get him on the pit road, and that's just what he's doing now, locking up the brakes and sliding to a halt.
And as they have done on most of the other cars, they'll change the right side tires while they fill them up with fuel. Now, these cars, as Chris pointed out, they can go approximately 100 miles. And certainly you don't want to run out of gas here because it's a long way to coast back around.
Cale Yarborough, the 1985 winner of this event. He waited a long time to put his name on this one, bringing car number 29 back on track. His own racing stable now back underway.
Now, these pit stops, as you said earlier, were so crucial. It's going to be interesting to see how they do stack up. We see Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott, Davey Allison and Rusty Wallace, Tim Richmond all running together out there. But Terry Labonte is up in front of them. Apparently, he had a better pit stop than they did, and Cale Yarborough is getting up speed. So he's trying to pick up the draft of that car. You saw him on the inside as the others go by on the outside.
Ken Schrader picking up the lead in car number 90. A.J. Foyt also getting an opportunity. And I believe Schrader's just pitted, which would put A.J. up in front for the moment. As they sort them out, everybody getting an opportunity to head for the pits. But here are the leading contenders to get it all back together and be among the top people after the pit stop period. And I would say the guy to watch the most is number 28, Davey Allison. That Knuckles team has been practicing day after day on pit stops specifically for this race. Here's a report from Chris Economaki.
Well, we checked with Cliff Champion, Cale Yarborough's crew chief, and Ned Jarrett was right. The radio's not working in that number 29 car, and the crew here had to go to NASCAR and have the officials black flag Cale so he would stop. They were fearful he would run out of gas. But everything other than that is just fine. So the antenna's broken, they tell me.
Antenna broken on car number 29, according to Chris's report. You didn't hit that one right on the nail.
Hey, two-way radio has become such an important part of racing now. We didn't even know what radios were except the ones that were turned on the dash going down the road in a passenger car, but now it is a very important part of racing. That communications means a lot to them.
You're looking to battle for second place as we have it here, 9 and 3. Number 11, Labonte, comes out sorted as the first place car after this period of pit stops with 82 laps complete.
Labonte simply had the fastest pit stop, got in and out the pits good, and as a result, he has himself about a 2-second lead over the second place car of Bill Elliott right now. Labonte is up there drafting on Rick Wilson, car number 4. Wilson had an extended time in the pits. They had some sort of a problem, so he's almost a lap down now, I believe, but it's good for Terry Labonte that he has someone to draft on, and maybe he can keep that distance between he and Elliott. We'll see.
And there you see the second place car, number 9, back with the leader, Terry Labonte, another time, about 2.5 seconds between first and second, with 82 of 188 laps complete. More shortly. You're at Talladega, Alabama. And here today, it is a tremendous slugfest in this live coverage on CBS, which has had Davey Allison with the advantage, Terry Labonte, and now if you look at our Budweiser scoreboard, Labonte for the moment has about 2 seconds over Bill Elliott. Elliott, in turn, has his hands full with Dale Earnhardt. Rusty Wallace, Davey Allison round out the top 5. In the second 5, with 84 of 188 laps complete, looking a little further back in the field, the 6th position is Tim Richmond. Buddy Baker is in 7th. Cale Yarborough is in 8th. Lake Speed is 9th. Phil Parsons is 10th. Bobby Allison 11th. Sterling Marlin 12th. Kyle Petty 13th. Ken Schrader 14th. And Darrell Waltrip is in 15th.
And I think that we'll find that Sterling Marlin is a lap down. He had made an unscheduled pit stop earlier, and since then has made a pit stop as well in sequence. So I think that he would be a lap down.
They're not
still running with the leaders.
1 lap away. Unfortunate incident for Sterling Marlin. Unfortunate incident seemed to be the order of the day for him in race after race this year. Once again, you're riding along here, I believe, in Davey Allison's car as you're right tucked in behind Dale Earnhardt, coming through the tri-oval down to the start-finish line area at over 195 miles per hour. Those cars just dancing and weaving in the wind. And there's a crack developing in his windshield on the far right side. There goes Earnhardt plunging beneath Bill Elliott's car number 9. And Earnhardt picks up a spot here.
And Davey Allison's going to try it as well. He's going to follow out on his bumper, but Elliott shuts the door and comes back up on the outside.
Did not quite make it through. Tremendous battle developing for that lead position here.
That's Dave Marcus directly in front of Bill Elliott.
Marcus's position outside the top 15. We'll see if we can gather that in for you folks. I know there's a lot of Marcus fans in Wisconsin as well as North Carolina. Find out where Dave Marcus is running with car number 71 this afternoon. There's Alan Kowicki's number 7. Looks like he might be ready to go a lap down, which is too bad. Here's Mike Joy.
Well, look at this old junkyard dog. This is what's left of Neil Bonnet's car after the collision with a flipping Brett Bodine on the backstretch. Bonnet is second in NASCAR championship points to Dale Earnhardt. Can't afford to give up any more ground. So they've taken the bent pieces off, straightened what they could, and Bonnet will go out to ride around without much aerodynamics, but with a chance of piling up some more points today.
Was there ever a time when they told you couldn't run because you were short parts and pieces, fenders and hoods?
As long as the roll bar and support material is in place, the sheet metal NASCAR is not as concerned about it during a race. Of course, they know that he's not going, and Neil and his crew know that they're not going to be able to run at competitive speeds. But as Mike Joy says, he wants to rack up as many laps as he possibly can, which in turn will rack up some points for him.
Well, those leaders working their way around, and we saw Dave Marcus group in that lead pack. He was in 21st position as the report on that. 21st on the Marcus car. Meanwhile, in front, Terry Labonte is staying there. Earnhardt, Davey Allison, Bill Elliott, Rusty Wallace, and Tim Richmond all getting a chance to take a crack at that front spot. And here it comes, car number 75, back on the track, Neil Bonnet. Now that looks like something ready for BIR, the Birmingham International Raceway, where Neil cut his teeth.
Well, certainly not for the fastest racetrack in the world.
But Talladega short track right across the street.
Well, you got to give him a knee for effort, though. The entire crew for getting the car back in running condition, which we thought it was absolutely through for today, or maybe through forever.
Raymock Racing pulled it out for them and got him back on the track. There you see the number 11 unlimbering some power and moving up Terry Labonte. He scooted beneath the green car of Benny Parsons. Sponsors changed the colors on that car. It's now a decaffeinated car, I guess you'd call it.
Yes, and he has just gone a lap down. He and Ricky Rudd went a lap down to the leaders here a moment ago, and number 5, Jeff Bodine, is in the pits. This will be an unscheduled pit stop for Jeff Bodine.
And we'll drop him a lap back. Coffee sponsor, strange as it may sound, on a couple of these cars. Parsons being one of them and Tim Richmond the other, his sister car. Here is A.J. Foyt getting lapped. At lap 91, A.J.'s car number 14 goes one down. Alan Kowicki has gone a lap down, as Terry Labonte is providing this facility with just a beautiful run as we come to the midway point of the event. Dale Earnhardt, who started on the outside of the front row, continues to hold on to second, and Davey Allison is right there with him. You think the Fords are at their limit, or do they have more to show?
It'll be interesting to see. They haven't been able to run Labonte down after they made those pit stops. He was able to get out front, and we saw him draft on Rick Wilson a while, and he said that wasn't fast enough, so he passed Rick and drove on away from him. The other cars have, meanwhile, been able to pick up the draft of a few of the cars that they're lapping, but Labonte seems to be staying out there with ease right now, so I don't know if there's anything left or not. Davey Allison trying to show what he has on the inside of Earnhardt.
There he goes. Davey Allison scooting to the bottom of the racetrack in the first turn. Black, white, and gold, number 28, Allison running wheel to wheel with the yellow and blue, number 3 of defending Winston Cup champion, Dale Earnhardt, side by side out of number 2, and now it is Earnhardt extending car number 3 just a tad and pulling back in front of Davey Allison along back straightaway.
Of course, he was on the high side of the racetrack and had the momentum as he came off the turn.
More action of the Talladega 500 on CBS following these messages.
Competition like we have here at Talladega, as Dale Earnhardt has caught and just went around the leader, Terry Labonte.
And coming right with him, Davey Allison into second place. Labonte falling to third. Look at that car, just that tad squirrely. He rides it right on the edge like he has a 3,500-pound piece of steel and a tightrope, and he continues to balance it so gingerly there. That's the mark of a master. Earnhardt out in front, but right with him comes young Davey Allison. And here's that cluster of automobiles battling for the lead, plus one lap car.
We had seen Bill Elliott drop back a little bit not too long ago, and he's right back up in the thick of it now.
Out of turn number 4. Back to the line with 96 laps complete. We're better than halfway in the event. Average speed up to 169.9 miles per hour. So with the number of cautions we've had, we've been under caution a total of 19 laps out here. That's rather 9 laps. That's not bad at all. Second half of the lead lap, and there you see the Rusty Wallace car. Raymond Beadle is here watching this car. He's the car owner, 7-time world drag racing champion. Got himself involved in stock car racing, picked a great driver when he picked Rusty Wallace. Here's Wallace Pontiac being challenged by Bill Elliott's Ford.
Elliott moves down to the inside and tries to make the move. Terry Labonte, even though he's been passed by those two cars, he's hanging right with them.
4th place at stake there. Back in the lead comes Davey Allison another time. Davey Allison, who has won 2 races in his freshman year. Let's go to Mike Joy.
I'm with A.J. Foyt in the garage, and just to look at him shows how hot it must be out there. How rough is it in that race car today?
Well, mine's probably 200 degrees because they didn't seal the steering column up, and it's blowing all the heat right in my face, and I changed gloves, and it's lifted my hand. Then we had a vibration yesterday, and it even broke the gear shift knob fell off, so I said it's time to quit. I done changed gloves once, put real thick gloves on, but it still come through there, and I said I'm not going to burn myself up running 15.
Blister your hand?
Yeah, they're all on the knuckles. See the knuckles? Yeah. In other words, that's where the dry heat was blowing across my knuckles. Just something they didn't get sealed.
Well, he was in the top 5 here last year. Today, in the garage. Sorry you're out of it.
That break for A.J., who really had aspirations for something better than that today.
He brought one of the prettiest race cars here, Ken, that I've seen. One of the slickest, cleanest cars. When we're talking about clean, I'm talking about from the aerodynamic standpoint. Boy, there was not a ripple on that car anywhere, but apparently, as he said, somebody left something a little loose on the inside to let that heat come up into his face or onto his hands.
Front 3. 1 Ford, 2 Chevrolets. Ford in front, Chevrolet second and third, Ford in fourth. God put Davey Allison on earth to drive a race car, says Joey Knuckles, his crew chief, on that machine. And right now he is leading here in this Talladega 500 by just about 2 car lengths. His dad still a contender in this race. Bobby Allison still making his moves out here. He is back in the 11th position at the present time. Of course, his dad won the Firecracker 400 at Daytona on the 4th of July. There you see that trio in the red number 9 of Elliott closing relentlessly on that trio, and Rusty Wallace sticking right with it. Behind Wallace and Elliott, the next car back is Tim Richmond in the 6th position. You're inside of his car now, and knocking on his rear door is Cale Yarborough in 7th place. On his back door, it's Buddy Baker in 8th, followed by Phil Parsons 9th. Bobby Allison now to 10th, and Kyle Petty falling to 11th, with Ken Schrader in 12th position.
Schrader, of course, had a nasty roll at Daytona on the last lap of the Firecracker 400, but that hasn't dampened his spirits a bit here at Talladega.
I like what Schrader said. He said, I was upside down, but I kept looking for that line to go underneath me.
And he crossed the finish line crashing.
Leaders. Davey Allison sticking there. All that experience. He's grown up around race cars. He's learned, and he's been brought up the hard way. He had to start on the short tracks. He had to do all the training. And it's paying off here in his rookie year as he leads the rookie standings on the Winston Tour.
And that training was by design between he and his dad. That's the route that they chose for David to come rather than go directly into Winston Cup racing. They felt that it would be good for him to take the hard knocks from the short tracks, get some experience, and it is paying off for him.
Did we mention how far down Neil Bonnet was? 56 laps, something like that.
Yeah, he's made a couple of pit stops since then.
But he's still out there going. Bill Elliott moving around, taking up another spot as he continues to close on the cars into 3rd position. Labonte falling to 4th. And here comes Elliott on the move, going up on the outside, looking for Earnhardt now. Don't count Elliott out of this one. We'll return with more 102 of 188 laps complete here on CBS. Our live coverage of the Talladega 500. Davey Allison holding on with Dale Earnhardt, Bill Elliott, Rusty Wallace, and Terry Labonte all in pursuit in the front 5. Second 5, Richmond is there. Buddy Baker, what a tenacious rascal he is, holding on back there in that 7th position. And Earnhardt and Allison continue to go at it side by side in their battle up in front. This is from Allison's car. There's Earnhardt beside him, and this is for the lead. Here on this 2.6-mile track, temperature inside these cars is better than 140, 50 degrees. Temperature trackside now at 97 degrees. Falling back just a little as Davey, and look at that Earnhardt car drop to the bottom and handle back here. Tim Richmond is off the pace. Here you see from Richmond's car, there's problems with the Harry Hyde car. Tim Richmond, of course, last year, double pneumonia. Many said would not race at all this year. Here he is coming back into competition, winning 2 races in a row. But this afternoon, car number 25 seems to be in dire straits.
Something has gone awry. Of course, they have pit stops coming up here very shortly, Ken, so it could be that he just ran low of fuel. In fact, Dale Earnhardt is coming into the pits right now, so others will be coming in. Earnhardt made his pit stop a little earlier than the others the last time. They've had a full green flag run here as Earnhardt comes into the pits. Let's see, they changed the right side tires the other time. This time they're going to the left side.
So Davey Allison has the lead again with Bill Elliott now in second. Rusty Wallace goes to third. Terry Labonte to fourth as we see Earnhardt on pit road. Kurt Shelmerdine and company getting him out in 14 and 2/10 seconds. Great pit stop.
Very good pit stop to put in 20 gallons of fuel and change 2 tires. You can't get that done down at your neighborhood service station.
Richmond is coming in. Tim Richmond on pit road. And here's Mike Joy.
Well, there's a lot of rubber flapping from the right side of that car, so they will put right side tires on it. They were scheduled to make their next pit stop at lap 110, so not too far off. Second can of gas going in. Cheech Gardy working that right side tire, and there goes Richmond away. And the right front tire is absolutely shredded as it comes back here to the pit wall. That was the reason he made this unscheduled stop.
On the back straightaway, there's that tire that's shredded. Car number 3 came out very slowly. It's into the back straightaway, and I'm not sure that Earnhardt car is back to full speed now. It's up into turn number 3.
He is, I believe, getting back up to speed now, Ken, and it could be that he only has 4th gear in that car because he went out of here very slow. It took him a long time to get his speed up, and it's possible, as we see happen a lot of times, they'll lose the 2nd or 3rd gear, and it just takes a long time if you only have 4th.
Well, attention on pit road. If either Mike Joy or Chris Economaki can give us an update on car number 3, it appeared that he just loped out of the pits. Something amiss on car number 3. We'll find out for you shortly. Let me review for you yesterday's action. Grant Adcox won his 4th straight in ARCA competition here at Talladega yesterday afternoon with David Simcoe second and Venturini finishing in third. That was in the ARCA 500K race of some 340 miles. Now, watching this trio up in front, Davey Allison still in that first position. Terry Labonte is in second. Bill Elliott is in third.
But they all have pit stops coming up very shortly. Dale Earnhardt is running just out in front of that group, almost a lap down, but he has already made his pit stop. These drivers we're seeing on the screen now have pit stops coming up as we see Davey Allison.
Now there's Ken Schrader, the guy who came across, well, almost came across the line upside down. He got upside down a few hundred feet from the finish and got it back onto its wheels and slapped across the stripe at Daytona. And he is still running up there in the lead lap with car number 90 for Jimmy Don Levy this afternoon. Let's go back to the pits for this update.
Richard Childress talking to his driver in a conference here in the pits. Dale was slow getting up to speed. What do you think happened? Well, we don't know if we got a broke axle or what. It was only spinning the left rear when it left the pits, so we don't know what happened. Something happened. It might have broken axle out there on the track. Does he have all 4 gears? Yeah, we got it. Transmission's okay. It was just we was spinning the left rear when we left the pits. The conference was going on over here on the other side of pit wall as they were looking at the tire tracks. Earnhardt left as he spun away, just like on a drag strip, but only one wheel when both rear tires should have been spinning.
The story up in front, and it's you just have to stay with the point today. You want to get back and show some other racing, but up here is the entire story of this battle. It is Elliott for the moment leading, Davey Allison in second, Terry Labonte in third, and Rusty Wallace in fourth, and they still have 4 cars within half a second of each other all the way around the racetrack now.
And those cars are due for pit stops before too long, but they would probably like to come in together and go back out together so they can pick up the draft, or maybe they would rather, of course, try to beat someone else out of the pits, but they do like to stay in the draft as much as they possibly can. Now, they are coming up on Dale Earnhardt. You can see him right in front of Bill Elliott there. He would go a lap down if Elliott is able to get around, and it looks like he is going to be able to.
And that's what they're attempting to do now. They are putting Earnhardt, winner of 8 of 16 events this year, a lap down going into the first turn. And wisely, look at Earnhardt dive in there and try to hold on. Savvy piece of driving by Earnhardt as he's trying to retain something out here with problems. Now Davey Allison comes after him.
It's hard to imagine that car can be pulling one axle and running as fast as it is. He's not running quite as fast as the leaders, but he's running almost as fast as they are, Ken. It's hard to imagine that that an axle would be broken and he'd still be able to run that straight and that fast.
Well, look at it wobble for a moment as he went down through there. As you watch Davey Allison handling that car is extremely loose. This car number 3, and Davey Allison right behind him. If we could, let's get back inside Davey Allison's car and watch him try to take that position.
Well, he's going to try to move up on the inside of Earnhardt, but Earnhardt is still running a strong enough pace that Davey just simply can't draft past him.
And watch Earnhardt here. He'll get it sideways, and he keeps gathering it back.
Well, as we've noticed several times today, that the cars are wiggly as they go down the straightaways, and that's because of the draft. It's hard to keep a car in a straight line when you're running behind another car.
Now notice he signaled for just a moment. Earnhardt put his hand up there and signaled, and here's Allison going beneath him. It may be getting to be too much of a handful.
Could be, and he signaled David to move around.
Oh, a sportsmanlike gesture from Dale Earnhardt, as apparently he's having, you can see the car wiggle. He keeps having to gather it back. When he had it in a straight line, he indicated Labonte is closing up on him. The third place car now, as Bill Elliott continues to stay in front and now draw away. Ford's running 1 and 2. Terry Labonte Chevrolet in third. Rusty Wallace with his Pontiac in fourth. Rusty Wallace now making a move, and he's going to go around number 11, Terry Labonte. They're running about side by side. Look at Wallace in the white and green number 27 in here.
Well, he's trying to pick up the draft of Dale Earnhardt. We wonder if that's a smart move since Earnhardt's not running quite as good as the other cars, but it looks like it might be working for him. He's able to move around Labonte.
Made it work right there. Car number 9, Bill Elliott stays in front, and there you see the interval back to number 28. Davey Allison in second, and the interval to the third place battle. The white and green number 27 on the outside. And behind him, number 11, the red and white car of Terry Labonte. A strange race at Talladega today, but for the folks in Georgia, it would be a very happy race if Elliott can stay right where he is, lapping Bodine another time.
And Bodine has made an unscheduled pit stop, so he's really having his problems here.
14 cars, excuse me, Ned, the 14 cars in the lead lap, and the last one is Darrell Waltrip. Now, they really have high hopes of having an excellent day today. The latest report, at 110 laps, he's up to 11th, Darrell Waltrip. Of course, he just brought Jeff Hammond into that team. He said, I needed some paces I was familiar with. It was like moving into a new neighborhood. And you get along fine with the neighbors, but you don't know them well enough to borrow a lawnmower or ask them to drive you into town. So he brought Jeff Hammond back with him. Here is Mike Waltrip, number 30. Mike Waltrip getting past in the Dick Fair car by Davey Allison, who is in that second position.
Rusty Wallace and Terry Labonte have both coming into the pits as we see them getting service on Rusty Wallace's car. Left side tires for him.
500 miles, 188 laps for Bill Elliott. Talladega has become his greatest challenge.
It's been pretty easy for me to get around for one lap and be on top, but to run 188 laps here, it's always tough. You know, I've always had problems with 15 or 20 laps to go being there at the end, and maybe this time we've got some of our problems solved and we can be there at the end and hopefully be one of the cars to outrun.
He's the man to outrun right now. Bill Elliott from Dawsonville, Georgia, in the car number 9, leading, showing the way here. Over Davey Allison second, Cale Yarborough third, Phil Parsons fourth. Lake Speed is fifth. Kyle Petty is maintaining sixth position with 116 laps complete. More from Talladega shortly. Bill Elliott currently in front with 310 miles down. Davey Allison is sequestered right there behind him in second place. Jeff Bodine maintaining is being shown as third. I believe he is a lap down. Then Cale Yarborough in fourth, and Lake Speed. Let's go to Chris Economaki right now for an overview as to where we are in the event.
Well, it's to where the drivers are from a standpoint of temperature. Most of the teams here have a cooling device in their car. It's called a cool suit. It's quite an involved system. It requires a plastic case that holds ice and a circulating fluid in it. It goes to capillaries that go to a helmet underneath the driver's crash helmet to keep his head cool. The feeling being that if your brain is cool, the rest of your body is cool. Just in case that theory doesn't work, there's a vest with capillary tubes running through it that closes around the driver underneath the driving suit. Now, this whole system is held to the car with shock cords. Altogether, it weighs about 80 pounds, and it costs $3,800. And usually they work most of the time, but rarely do they work all the time. Back to you, Ken.
Thank you, Chris. Continuing our summary here, we've had 7 leaders, 15 lead changes, and the average speed at 174 miles per hour. The record is 177.214 by Cale Yarborough in 1978 at this juncture of the race. A couple of caution periods, and then it's been trouble-free. Just 9 laps under yellow. One of very slow laps after the Neil Bonnet Bodine crash in turn number 2, which is one of the major incidents. Watching Bodine in number 5, and it appears to me he's getting around. It may be that number 9, Elliott's ready to pit.
Yes.
Indeed he is. Elliott, who has been leading for a while, is going to bring his car on pit road. And here's Mike right now.
Bill Elliott comes in hot, locks the brakes up, and slides just a little bit past his pit. As a result, the Jackman has a long way around. They'll make a 2-tire change and only lose a second or so. Looking for a chassis adjustment, and there's Butch Stevens peeling off the tape and going in the car with that stacking bolt adjusting wrench. Elliott has just run an incredible 46 laps, 122.3 miles on 1 tank of fuel. That is phenomenal.
Sounds like Ernie Elliott's been at work again.
They have really improved the gas mileage on the Fords. Davey Allison made a pit stop at the same time. He's going to beat Bill Elliott out of the pits, but both of those drivers got the same gas mileage. Not too many. In fact, about a year ago, Ken, the Fords were not getting as good a gas mileage as the General Motors product. But a tremendous amount of work has been done on that, and they are getting it now.
And it appears to me that Elliott comes out of the pits much slower than Davey Allison.
Yes, very
Allison
definitely.
just streaked out, and Elliott limps out in car number 9 into turn number 2. Now he's gathering speed into the backstretch, but the Davey Allison pit stop was in the same time context as Elliott, and he got in and out much quicker.
Oh, yes, he came out. He's a good 4 or 5 seconds ahead of Bill Elliott now, so he had some problems getting off the pit road and getting his speed up.
So Chris Economaki or Mike Joy, you might want to be checking with the Elliots if there is a gear problem on car number 9, because it sure took a spell to get him up to speed. Here's Bobby Allison's car number 22. And in the latest report we had on him, he was back in 8th position, running the lead lap. Directly in front of him is Kyle Petty's number 21. And Kyle is up in that lead lap, and they're switching positions under this caution period, so we'll wait till we get them all assimilated here.
This will put Dale Earnhardt back in the lead lap. We had seen Earnhardt go a lap down, but now that the others have pitted, Earnhardt will be back on the lead lap.
All right, let's review just quickly. Jeff Swindell has dropped out of the race. A.J. Foyt, Jimmy Means, Richard Petty is out, Brett Bodine, Morgan Shepherd, and Bobby Hillin was the first man out. Let's take a look for our race fans. 11th back through the rest of the field that are still running as we watch this battle up in front. These are the other cars. Lake Speed 11th, Kyle Petty 12th, Ken Schrader 13th, 14th. This was as of just before this period of coming into the pits and taking on additional fuel. That'll leave us with what? 1 pit stop remaining in this race?
Yes.
If it's
they'll have to make at least 1 more pit stop. But they can make it on 1 more stop, especially the gas mileage that Davey Allison and Bill Elliott are getting.
Gee, I didn't even get a response from you. I saw a name Jarrett go by in 25th, nary a word out of you.
Well, not too bad. He started back in 37, so he's gaining on it.
Here comes Cale Yarborough's car number 29 on pit road. He had been running in the 6th position.
Well, he actually had taken the lead after the others had stopped, Ken, so he had moved into the lead.
Cale Yarborough's car had been running just outside that top 3, and it's under this pit stop situation that they get an advantage to get up and get some laps. Looks like a very good pit stop going on in his car. And Mike Joy is standing by with Ernie Elliott as to what the condition is on car number 9. It seemed to take him so long. He lagged a bit coming out. Here's Mike.
Ernie seemed to take a long time getting back up to speed after the pit stop. Is the car okay?
Well, they were pushing that 82 car out of the pit, and he went over on us when we started pitting, and evidently whenever he started mashing the brakes, it broke one of the axles. So we only got 1 drive wheel.
Earnhardt seems to have the same problem.
Well, yeah, but our situation's a little different. I mean, you know...
Well, let's talk a positive note. Gas mileage. Last year here, you probably only could have gone 92, 93 laps, 92, 93 miles, and here you've got 120 miles on a tank of fuel. What's been the big difference?
Well, it's just, when you don't make any horsepower, you can go a long way.
That smaller carburetor has had the effect of better fuel mileage in addition to slowing the cars down.
Well, they say that the smaller carburetor did reduce the horsepower about 100 horsepower, and I guess that's what Ernie was referring to. Certainly, he gets as much horsepower out of an engine as anybody can.
The car he was commenting on was Mark Stahl's car number 82 a moment ago. 125 laps have been completed. In our live coverage here on CBS, the Talladega 500 in its 19th year, and here's how the board now reads. Davey Allison is first. Rusty Wallace is in second. Terry Labonte third. Elliott, they're reporting in fourth. And then in fifth spot, Cale Yarborough with sixth, Dale Earnhardt, seventh, Phil Parsons, eighth, Kyle Petty, ninth, Lake Speed, 10th, Buddy Baker, 11th, Bobby Allison, and 12th, Kenny Schrader. Rick Wilson back in 13th. How do you feel about that one?
I think
close?
Yeah, I think that's very close. And we see the three leaders there. They're bunched up again after this pit stop. Terry Labonte right on the back bumper off Davey Allison, and of course Rusty Wallace right behind them.
There is a switch because the 27 has been overtaken by the number 11, and here you see Labonte in that Chevrolet. What a great day for the Junior Johnson crew.
Running very strong. Of course, he ran second to Davey here in the spring in the May race. And he'd like to move up one notch. Of course, Davey would like to keep it just like it was.
Well, they talk about rookies never having won a race in their rookie year back in your days. How many races did you win in your rookie year?
Well, I won 2, but I was not a declared rookie back then, Ken. I had won, forgive me, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm boasting, the national championship in what was then the sportsman division, and they didn't consider me a rookie, I guess, even though I had not run that many grand national races. And so the fact that I won 2 that year, I guess, just doesn't count. There's been some question about that since we talked about it a little bit in Michigan. So let's give it to Davey Allison that he is the only true rookie that has won 2 races in his rookie season.
And trying to move it to 3 here this afternoon. And I thought there was another driver in that same category as you.
I think there was another driver earlier that had done that as well. His name doesn't come to mind at the moment. Though.
Here's Davey Allison still in front with that car, number 11, right there, Terry Labonte. Terry Labonte has been a long time between victories, and he would like to change that. It was Rockingham last year when he last tasted the champagne, and he would like an opportunity at just that this afternoon. Here he is in second place. As you look at it out of Davey Allison's car, and remind you again, if you're just joining us, these are live pictures. These cars are nearly 200 miles an hour. And look at that temperature gauge. They've wound that thing right off the top on Davey Allison's car. It's gone to 120 and then back around here.
Past 40, so that's about 160, 170 degrees, it looks like, inside the car.
The heat in which he's racing, and the only stop he has had was that 14 seconds when he gave the car to the crew on pit road, and Joey Knuckles and the Ballard kids did that remarkable job. Now notice Rusty Wallace in the green and white number 27. What a story with Wallace. They just keep getting stronger. They've had some engine problems, but Barry Dotson has been working hard throughout the past month trying to remedy some of the situations that have continually captured them. And look at this man here with our modified car number 75.
Neil Bunny. Real trooper.
56 laps down and still out there going for points. Car not looking quite as neat as he might have wished. Back up in front with that trio. Davey Allison shuffling. Right behind him, Labonte, and then comes the Raymond Beadle-owned Pontiac that is finished in the top 10 in 10 of 17 races, won a pole in Winston Cup competition this season. At least 8 times this year, they've had a chance to win a race. And today, they're trying to put it all together. They're in the best position they've been, and here is Labonte coming to the inside on Davey Allison. For a rookie, he has all the marks. He's being challenged here, and the Chevrolet is going to beat the Ford across the line. Nope.
Or is it?
Back comes the Ford. Almost dead even. An interesting mix of cars. Pontiac, Chevrolet, and Ford all dicing within an 1/8 of a second for the lead here at Talladega in our live coverage. Look at that battle into turn number 2 into the back straightaway. Just about even. Now Allison gets the advantage again. Labonte pulls back up on the inside, and Wallace sits in the catbird seat. The observer here enjoying this view. Young Davey Allison at 26, and you're riding with him. Here's Labonte coming back to the inside, and now Wallace looks like he wants to make it 3 wide.
He tried to help Davey Allison the last time around, and that didn't work too good, so he decided to go down and try to help Labonte. Now he said, well, let me try Davey. Maybe he's the one that's going to make the move, and Rusty is having trouble keeping his car down on the low side of the racetrack. You see it drift up as he goes into the turn, so that's hurting him a little bit, not helping the cars in front of him.
Tire situation.
could be, or maybe the back end sticking just a little bit too tight for him.
Here he is, the back straightaway. He comes down, gets at the bottom, is drafting off Labonte, wants to pull him through. They're going for it. Labonte into first, Wallace into second, Allison dropped to third.
That's what you can do when two cars hook up together. Just move right around Allison. There wasn't anything you can do about it except and say, hey, let me try that back on the inside.
All right, he pulls the trigger on the bottom of the racetrack. Up on the lap car. I believe that's Del McCoward's car down on the inside. No, that's the 67 car, Chet Phillips' car. Inches apart at 200 miles an hour in this live coverage. You're riding with Davey Allison as he rides around the Indianapolis car driver. Back to the trioval they come with now 11. Terry Labonte deployed in first. Rusty Wallace, winner of 2 events in 1986 in Winston Cup competition. And back to third is Davey Allison. When we watch a stock car race like the Michigan 400, Talladega 500, it's likely that we take the word stock for granted. But what are these 200-mile-per-hour stock cars? Well, last autumn, Chris Economaki visited a stock car assembly line. This factory produces lookalikes that have little in common with the cars on the showroom floor.
When Detroit's assembly lines fired up after World War II, they spit out cars at an inordinate rate. And when those cars reached the end of their lives, many were resurrected from the junkyard to be racing stock cars on dusty half-mile dirt tracks like this. These dirt tracks have given way to the asphalt super speedways of today. And the cars, no longer refugees from a junkyard, but rather custom creations made not on a Detroit assembly line, but in a handful of specialty shops, like Budmore Engineering. This assembly line produces different versions of the number 15 Ricky Rudd Thunderbird that vary in everything from horsepower to fender flare to tread width. But unlike a Detroit assembly line, there are no conveyors or robots, as each car is handcrafted. Budmore and his staff build each engine and much of the chassis, tailoring them to the differing demands of short track, medium speed, super speedway, and road courses. They like the heavy-duty Ford truck cylinder block, ideal for racing. Old blocks are first reground, taking the sheen off cylinder walls. The block is then fitted with forged aluminum, high-dome racing pistons, which replace the cast aluminum, flat-top pistons found in production engines. Specially forged connecting rods are used, and the high-lift racing grind camshaft, along with high-compression aluminum cylinder heads, provide the more than 650 horsepower needed to win races. Each piston is hand-finished to the exacting tolerances needed for racing. Piston rings are filed and fitted by hand. A mistake here or anywhere in assembly could cost an engine and a race. The 16 valve seats are individually hand-ground to precise tolerances. And the critical job of balancing each crankshaft also requires individual attention. This high-tech shop contains a maze of up-to-date machinery. Here, a cylinder block is line bored in order to properly align the main bearings. Electronic ignition has replaced the old distributor, but because fuel injection is yet to come, the 4-barrel carburetor is still standard equipment. All engine parts are carefully selected, refined, balanced, finished, and fitted by hand. Because quality control is paramount, there are checks every step of the way. Once assembled, the engine is placed on this $105,000 computerized dynamometer, where its horsepower and other vital signs are checked and rated.
Now asking for engine type. This is a 351 Windsor.
A complete record is kept of every test for comparison and design purposes. And the car itself, a rolling chassis made of high-tensile steel tubing, includes safety roll bars, far different from that found in a family car, is bought from one of a few custom builders, and here final assembly begins. The car itself stops at the firewall. A specially designed front clip is welded on. It carries the engine, steering, front suspension, and radiator, and is easily replaceable. And there's a complete in-house sheet metal shop. Parts are handcrafted using a vast array of custom machinery that would make a weekend mechanic envious. To meet the minimum weight of 3,700 pounds, lead ballast is inserted into the rocker panels, which allows teams to locate the weight here and there according to the differing needs of each track. The gas tank is replaced with a rubberized crash-worthy fuel cell protected by a steel box and a custom paint job applied. Axles, brakes, wheels, springs, and shocks are all special, and a differential with the right gear ratio for today's track is chosen. The finished product is then rolled onto the scale where it is carefully checked against NASCAR requirements. And when all is said and done, when this car is finished and loaded for its ride to the racetrack, unlike the stock cars in the dealership, the only unmodified parts are the front bumpers, the grillwork, and the header panel.
Ricky Rudd's car number 15, which is struggling some here today, now being shown in 18th position. As you know, we are under caution, and it is not for a major incident. We are under caution for the third time. This for debris on the track. We've been under there for 2 laps. 136 laps complete. At 134, they were running as follows. Labonte leading with Rusty Wallace then in second. He's had a second place this year, now working on a win. Davey Allison in third, Bill Elliott in fourth, and Cale Yarborough coming across in the 5th position. In the second 6, Phil Parsons there, and having a good afternoon of competition for Phil Parsons in car number 55, still looking for his first win, followed by Bobby Allison. Lake Speed, who is running a selected schedule, is right up in there. Buddy Baker and Dale Earnhardt round out the top 10 with this caution period. That front grouping of 13 cars in the lead lap will all be bumper to bumper, and with 136 laps complete now.
Yes, and I believe they will have to make one more pit stop, Ken, before they
It's going to get
finish
real
this race.
interesting from here on in as they group the front of the field, get set for a go once again. We'll be back for the green flag moment 7. 137 of 188 complete. Field is under caution. It's been an extended stay. They've had a couple of trucks out here working the first and second turn area of this 2.6-mile track. And let's go to Chris Economaki on the heat story right now.
Right. Well, the burning sun here is worrying the crew chiefs that it's making parts of the asphalt road soft. And what that means is when the asphalt is soft and a car takes off from the pits and it hits a hard spot, it can break an axle. And that's the prime concern of some of the crew chiefs here. This southern sun is really burning down on the asphalt pit road today. Back to you, Ken.
Let's go right to Mike Joy.
Well, Mr. Harold Parsons in Michigan, I got your sons alongside. Hadn't planned it this way. You're here a little early, Benny.
Yeah, I saw Phil coasting out on the inside, and I said, boy, tough break. He's had a problem. And about that time, I said, whoops, I got a problem, a big one. And it was something in the engine let go. Unexpected, but thank goodness I was able to keep the car going straight, because anytime that happens, you have visions of backing in the fence.
Is the smaller carburetor straining these engines more?
No, I don't think so. As a matter of fact, it ought to be easier on the engines because we were turning them absolutely 500 RPMs less than we did when we were down here in May.
And Phil Parsons, what are you doing here?
Well, as Benny said, the car was really running great. First of all, I'd like to thank the entire Skoll Classic Oldsmobile racing team. They did a great job. We had a good car today. We had a chance to win the race, but something let go on the engine coming off, too, and I just coasted to the side, and here I am.
Well, unlike his older brother who's headed for the airport, Phil still gets to drive 500 miles today. Home.
Thanks, Mike. 50 laps to go here. And the attrition now stands at 11 cars out. The Parsons brothers, both in the 33rd lap, succumbing to engine problems. Mark Stahl is out. Harry Gant is retired with a blown engine. Jeff Swindell, I believe we've brought you up to date several times on those other competitors who are down, and we'll do it again before we finish the afternoon. As we go back to green, with 138 of the 188 laps in the book, Terry Labonte is in first, Rusty Wallace second, Davey Allison third, Buddy Baker fourth, Bobby Allison fifth, Lake Speed in sixth, Cale Yarborough seventh, Dale Earnhardt eighth, Tim Richmond is ninth, Darrell Waltrip is in 10th, and Schrader is in 11th position, while 12th is being held by Bill Elliott. And I believe those are the cars, and 13th is Kyle Petty. Those are the 13 cars in the lead lap. And again, if you're new to motorsports, those on the outside in that row of 2 are the cars in the lead lap. The cars on the inside are a lap or more down.
That's exactly the way they line up for the restart, and they're about ready to crank them up again, with 49 laps to go as they come across to get the green flag. I don't think there's anyone to go that far, even though Davey Allison and Bill Elliott went 46 laps, and they've been in and kept those fuel tanks off to the earth.
Bodine, that number 5 car in 14th place, is 1 lap down. He'd like to get it back right here. Jeff Bodine with the Gary Nelson prepared car as they come to the stripe. Gets overrun by Labonte and by Rusty Wallace in second place. Rusty Wallace, second place finish in Martinsville, Virginia earlier this year, his best showing of the season. And as they come to speed, in the third position is the car number 28 on the restart of Davey Allison, and tucked right in with him is Buddy Baker's Oldsmobile.
Baker beginning to show some strength. Of course, he was expected to be a contender, and here goes Davey Allison down on the inside. He wants to lead again.
And the number 88 of Baker, what a day he's had.
And is that Rusty Wallace in car number 27 that went out front? I believe this is the first time that we've seen him go out front. He's been right in the thick of the battle.
Let's see if he can hold on to it and come back to the line and pick up 5 bonus points for leading a lap in Winston Cup competition. Davey Allison right with him. Wallace does so.
Has he been holding something back? He's been running with them. Now, we saw him earlier, Ken, when he was running behind Davey Allison and Terry Labonte. He couldn't keep his car on the low side of the racetrack. Right now, Davey Allison can keep his down there, so he's going to try to make a move on it.
9th different leader in the race was Rusty Wallace. Here's Allison to the inside, Terry Labonte with him. So now it's Ford leading, Chevrolet behind, the Pontiac back on the outside. No, indeed. It will be Chevrolet for second, Pontiac back to third. And the 27 operates best on the outside, and I guess that's the only place it operates. They can't get it cranked to the bottom of the racetrack. The long way around is not the hot tip here.
Well, it just simply won't stay down there, and that's the way the chassis is set up on the car. Of course, when he's in a draft, he can manage it, but it's not to his liking at the moment.
And the man that's now within striking distance is Bobby Allison in number 22. Look at them, stacked them 3 deep in here at 190 miles per hour, 3 wide into the back straightaway. From Bobby Allison's race cam. Allison becoming a serious factor now in 4th position after this caution. He's back in there. Wouldn't it be something if Allison, father and son, got together for the last lap?
Very possible.
It certainly is possible. As Bobby Allison begins to bring the Stavola colors back up in here, remember the first time they ran with a new carburetor, Daytona, Firecracker 400, 4th of July winner, Bobby Allison. To the strike. Wheeling down to the turn number 1. Davey Allison goes out in front. Labonte is into second. Wallace is in third. Bobby Allison is in 4th. 49-year-old Bobby Allison moving in on those leaders. Those young whippersnappers, including one in particular. Number 28, his son. 26-year-old Davey Allison stays in first. Says he gets no respect these days. Less and less. Here's Terry Labonte in that second position. Then you see the 27 car, and there's Bobby Allison, 49 years old, back there in 4th. Clyde Bolton has said only the Chinese revere age more than stock car racing does. And we're seeing one of the great veterans, winner of 83, some people say it's 84, Winston Cup races, Bobby Allison ready to challenge here. Davey has led 7 times for 70 laps. But Bobby Allison will save it and take the lap that counts if he possibly can. 13 cars remain in the lead lap. Average speed through 140 laps was at 169 miles an hour. The record at that distance was 173.3 for Buddy Baker in 1978. And now the speed at 143 laps. They're back to that individual lap time of about 199, 198 in the last lap.
And they got to be thinking now, Ken, towards the end of the race, okay, where do I want to be? What kind of position can I get myself in to make a run for the win, even though they know that most of them are going to have to make another pit stop at least for fuel.
Now, the other man that's a real surprise along with Baker, who is running in 5th, is Lake Speed in 6th. The selected campaign that Lake Speed is running is working very well for him. Jeff Bodine's car is in 5th, but he is a lap down. He is 5th in that overall cluster of cars in the back straightaway. But that Rick Hendrick car is actually 1 lap down. And the first of the Hendrick stable to make an imprint on this race would be the Darrell Waltrip car, I believe, now shown in 8th spot.
And Tim Richmond is still in somewhere in
10th. Yes. Back to the trioval. 17-degree banking here. And as they come to the line, Davey Allison leads another lap. I would think this is not a time when you want to show too much of your car. You just want to stay out here now and wait it out. You'll have one more fuel stop and then go for it. And, of course, any kind of caution here, they could drive home with 145 laps to the checkers from this point.
Yes, they could go from this point on, no question about that. And as Richard Petty said earlier, he said he was just sitting there riding at the end of the pack, no point in getting up there and mixing it up at that point off the race. But we're getting down closer to the end of the race now, so you've got to be testing the others out to some degree, not taking any unnecessary chances here.
Well, this is the track of the dark horses, the surprise winners time after time, and it could be a real surprise today. Some total dark horse, or it may be Davey Allison for his third win. We'll know shortly. At Talladega, Alabama, Ned Jarrett alongside. I'm Ken Squire, and in the pits, the Dean of Racecasters, Chris Economaki and Mike Joy. On the Budweiser scoreboard, the 142 of 188 laps down. Davey Allison, the youngster, the freshman, is out in front. Terry Labonte is in second. Rusty Wallace third. Bobby Allison, the father, is in fourth. And Lake Speed is doing a dandy job in fifth. Going from 6th to 10th, Dale Earnhardt in that 6th position. Bill Elliott, both the Earnhardt and Elliott car, we're told, are ailing some here. Buddy Baker is in 8th, Cale Yarborough is in 9th, and Darrell Waltrip is in the 10th position. Back straightaway, working the 150th lap. It's Davey Allison still on the point with Texas Terry Labonte doing a magnificent job for Junior Johnson Chevrolet Hopes in second spot. And we've got trouble. One car spinning, looping out of control, banging the wall. I believe that's the Pletcher car.
Dave Pletcher from down in Florida.
Arco Racer is going to bring out the caution. This is the break they're all going to need as they run to the stripe. Davey Allison comes across first. Labonte second. Wallace third. Allison fourth. And they will all come in to refuel for the shootout. This is it. We're going to have 12 or 13 cars battling down for the finish. They'll all come in for fuel. There are 13 cars in the lead lap. And we could have just a gang rush to the finish line here this afternoon. It will be a street fight.
For some of them, Ken, it will be pretty close in making it even from here. There are 38 laps remaining, which is a little over 100 miles. But depending on how long this caution should run, but the Fords, their gas mileage they've gotten should be no problem at all.
Dave Pletcher crashing off 2. Began his racing at the Golden Gate Speedway in southern Florida back in 1975. Accomplished short track driver he is, with several short track championships to his credit. Super Speedway debut was in Atlanta last November, finished 10th in the ARCA race there. The Automobile Racing Club of America would like to have him around. I think he has a lot of potential, could be a real champion.
He hopes to run for Rookie of the Year honors in 1988 in this circuit.
Here come all the leaders on pit road at once, all taking on fuel. And the positioning here will be dramatically important. Who comes out first? Who gets that opportunity to set this race on the start? You see a tire rolling free there. I wonder from whom that came. It was around the Davey Allison car, or perhaps the car just in front of him.
And I suspect most of them will take on 4 tires, Ken, because normally cool tires will run faster than heated up tires, as we see that tire come to rest over in the grassed area.
All right, with Davey Allison, he charges out onto the track.
Bill Elliott is the man that beats
Elliott is first out. Well, that may be the break that Elliott needs, because under caution, he'll be able to take that point position, lead them down, set the pace. That could be to his advantage. All the leaders getting out. Well, that's when you want to have an experienced pit crew who really know what they're doing. See if we can see who it is that brings that tire back to see who had that small problem.
Well, it was one of Davey Allison's tires that rolled away. Of course, it just got away from the crewman as he took it off, and you can see he's trying, and he's not holding on to it too long. It's hot.
So, the leaders have all pitted. 151 laps are in the book. We should be down at least another lap or 2 after this incident, which has put the Pletcher car, number 01, backing into the fence. Did not appear serious, and has brought out caution for the 4th time in the day. And as Pletcher retires, so does the Jerry Holden number 48. We saw Holden start it, and we saw Hilton drive for some time. That car has gone behind the wall. Let's see if we can talk to Davey Allison for just a moment. Davey Allison, Ken Squire at CBS Race Control. Do you read us?
Yes, Ken, I'll read you loud and clear.
How's it going? It looks like it's been just a remarkable run for you.
Well, Ken, our Haviland Star Thunderbird's really been handling real well all day, and it's been able to run up front, so we're looking for a good finish at the end of the race.
Can you go
go the rest of the way now, Davey, as far as your fuel is concerned?
I think we can make it all the way now, but I'm not sure.
Who's going to give you the toughest run from here to the finish, in your estimation, Davey?
Well, Terry Labonte and Rusty Wallace have both been real strong, but we all know that Bill Elliott has the ability to come back.
Did you know your father came all the way up to 4th position behind you?
No, I couldn't see him back there, but I knew he was pretty strong in the last practice session yesterday.
Now, are you going to honor your father toward the end of this, if it gets down to that?
Not if I can help it.
Okay. Thank you very much, and good luck to you.
Okay, Ken, I'd like to say hello to a friend of mine that's in the hospital in Birmingham with a broken neck. He had a problem. His name is Jimmy Green.
Indeed. Your message has been received, and I'm sure it's been appreciated.
Okay, thank you very much.
Davey Allison, the leader here for much of this race in car number 28 as they bring in the 0-1. And even in the tremendous pressure that he is under in this $500,000 race, he's willing to think about somebody else who isn't doing so well today. Quite a kid.
Yes, he is.
Let's go to Mike Joy.
Bill Elliott is up at the front of the field for good reason, Ken. While most of the teams took on 4 tires, Elliott got only 2. And if this is the last pit stop, it's questionable strategy. Last month at Daytona, Bobby Allison took on 4 tires and came from behind to beat Buddy Baker and Harry Gant, who had taken on only 2 each, and Dave Marcus and Ken Schrader, who didn't get any tires. But Elliott, 2 tires, quick pit stop. He's at the front of the field right now. Down to Chris Economaki.
Well, if there are no more yellow flags, the race is going to be won by a driver, not by a pit crew. Just a few moments ago, Terry Labonte and Rusty Wallace's pit side by side. Labonte got out about 2 seconds ahead of Wallace, and you can see on the track how far behind Wallace is. There's just enough fuel to get to the end. They don't have to worry about gasoline, but they do have to worry about who's in front of them. Back to you, Ken.
Thanks, Chris. The 28 car, as they come back up, let's see where it's going to be deployed. Davey comes out in 5th position. Elliott first, Labonte second, Cale Yarborough third, Ken Schrader 4th, Davey Allison 5th, Dale Earnhardt 6th, Rusty Wallace 7th, Buddy Baker 8th, Blake Speed 9th, Darrell Waltrip in 10th, Bobby Allison in 11th, Tim Richmond in 12th, and Kyle Petty in 13th in the lead lap. Activity still taking place down here. There'll be at least another lap before they get them, another 2 laps before they turn them loose.
And, of course, this is helping the fuel mileage. They do give them the signal this time as they come by. 1 more lap, and the green flag will wave. And as Chris Economaki said, it'll be a little close. In fact, a couple of drivers not taking a chance. Darrell Walter being one of those. He dived onto pit road as they come down to get the 1 lap signal to cap the fuel tank off. So that might be good strategy on his part.
Joey Knuckles, the crew chief for Davey Allison, just 1 year older than Davey at 26, a real veteran. He used to be part of that kiddie corps that Walter Ballard had, and, of course, the 3 Ballard kids. And they were 12 years old. They were crewing cars. Of course, they couldn't come in the garage area. They'd give them parts to work out behind the fence on. They'd put them back on Walter's car. Well, now look what we've got here. These youngsters, and there's also some oldsters. Jim Luter. James Luter is one of the oldest members of any pit crew, 67. He's been injured and has been part of this team for some time. And Joey said, we certainly want to remember him this afternoon. He's not able to be with us. So our condolences to him. Hope he's getting better real soon and get back out here perhaps for Watkins Glen, where these cars will be appearing in just 2 weeks in upstate New York. Last year, I believe, it was the biggest crowd in Watkins Glen history turned out, the old Formula One stomping grounds, to see these Formula Big Iron cars that put on one of the grandest races I've ever seen on the road course. Here we are, getting set to go with Bill Elliott on the point, and remember, he's driving with at least not a broken wing, but something amiss on it, and on that car number 9. And here's Junior Johnson. Lawrence of Arabia comes to Talladega, is played by the inimitable Junior Johnson.
Well, he's got cool feet now if he's still standing on the ice block, and got his head covered up at least to keep the sun out there.
Getting ready for a start. Junior taking this race real cool as his car continues to be one of the standout performers. It stays in 2nd spot. Cale Yarborough running 3rd here at the present time, and with added incentive to win this race today. And Cale is determined. Of course, he's always determined. Here's Chief Starter Harold Kinder about to put the green flag on the field. We come around with 154 laps complete as they fly beneath Kinder's feet this time. 188 the distance, down to the stripe. We're racing. Let's see what happens with Elliott as he tries to draw away, Ned.
Well, this time, Ken, he seemed to be able to get away. He got his feet up very quickly there, so the problem that he had during the green flag pit stop didn't seem to bother him there on the restart.
Into the back straightaway. Laps running down, and here you see Elliott's car deployed in first, Terry Labonte in second. Looks like Baker's coming to the inside to try to make a move. Now that's the Sterling Marlin car, a lap or so back. Cale Yarborough's number 29 in third, getting away. Clean. Into turn 3. Heavy traffic back there. 3, almost 4 wide at 180 up to 190 miles per hour. It's live today on CBS, the 19th annual $500,000 Talladega 500 show and tell time.
And was Bill Elliott just holding back for a while? Did he put out a decoy when he appeared to have a problem there for a little while?
Threw him a dummy?
Well, who knows? He's running awfully well right now. No problems with that car at this point.
The Dawsonville pool halls where the pressure's on now. Gordon Perkle and the boys up there just can't wait to get their hands on the siren. They had it ringing for 5 minutes after he sat on the pole for this race at 203 miles per hour. But you're inside the car that could change the whole story. Going beneath car number 90, Ken Schrader, is Davey Allison as he begins to look up through the traffic, count off the laps, and go after the leaders. Davey Allison in 5th. Bobby Allison, they say, may have lost an engine. Something amiss on Bobby Allison's car. And there's Bobby Allison's car running very slowly. It will not be a father and son finish. Bobby Allison on the pit road. Oh, that's unfortunate.
It really is. He had run an awfully good race here today, and he's had some awfully good runs this year, but has also had some trouble. But he came right on down pit road. And
right back out again.
Yes, he did. Went right back out. His crew member was out on pit road, and maybe something went wrong with the ignition. They have an alternative system that they can switch over to. Maybe he switched over to it and got it going again and said, I don't need to stop.
The 1971 winner keeps on trucking. Bobby Allison, as his son tries to get to the eye of the needle here and close up on these leaders. Into the back straight, into the tri-oval area. Back to the line they come another time.
And Davey has no running room right now, Ken, to get up through there. He's boxed in behind Rusty Wallace, Buddy Baker in that crew, and Kenny Schrader in the car number 90. Now Davies gets down on the inside, gets a little bit of room.
And Earnhardt keeps on coming on. The yellow and blue, number 3. Winner of 8 of 16 races. Can Earnhardt pull it off again? Look at Labonte getting edgy to take a shot at number 9, Elliott. What a finish we are building for this afternoon at Talladega. Buick Open next on CBS this afternoon. Front 4 all gathered in. Front 13, 1 3/10 of a second apart. Baker trying to close in. Crowd on their feet. 30 laps to go. Now this is the one. They said it could happen here. The 4th of July at Daytona was an incredible race, and we may see a repeat performance. Davey Allison ducking, diving beneath Wallace, and closing up on those leaders. He's got some driving to do now. On the outside, Earnhardt, the yellow and blue, number 3, rides up on Cale Yarborough. Here comes Earnhardt in a rush.
And the problem we saw earlier with his car on a restart after a green flag pit stop seems to have gone away.
Maybe it's that low speed. Medium speed they can get away. Low speed they have a problem with.
Whatever. It's certainly that both cars, he and Elliott, are doing okay now.
Cale Yarborough back there in that 4th position. 159 laps complete this time by. Back to the line they come. With Bill Elliott and number 9 to the stripe. We will return with more live coverage of the Talladega 500 after this word from your local. All right, we're back with you once again here at Talladega, Alabama. We're having some audio problems. I hope you're reading this loud and clear. As we take a look at 160 of 188 laps complete. Bill Elliott is in first, Terry Labonte in second, Dale Earnhardt in third, Cale Yarborough is fourth, and Buddy Baker is maintaining fifth, the second 10. And these cars, there you see them all together. They're less than 1 second apart. Davey Allison, Rusty Wallace, Lake Speed, Kyle Petty, Darrell Waltrip.
But now Davey Allison has moved up on the back bumper of Dale Earnhardt in the 4th position, so he's on the move.
Cale Yarborough back in 5th. Field down in turn number 1. Here's Davey on a drive toward the lead. Directly in front of him is Earnhardt. Let's get some individual lap speeds here and see what we're doing as this bundle of cars continues to thrash it out to decide this 19th annual Talladega 500.
The last lap they ran about 48.2 seconds, which is among the fastest laps that they've turned here today.
Only one man has ever won this race back-to-back. 1983, 84, Dale Earnhardt did it. He's one of the serious contenders to pull it off. The crowd just hasn't been able to sit down for over an hour. Temperatures at 97 degrees for the folks watching this race. And they're having a tremendous battle to watch. Elliott in front. Earnhardt in second. Davey Allison in third at turn 1. Fourth position is the Cale Yarborough car. And up to fifth, it is the Rusty Wallace machine. Then Lake Speed is breaking into sixth. Back straightaway. Allison, will he make a move here? Davey Allison looks low. He's coming down to the bottom at turn 3. Into the third turn from inside of his automobile. He's closing, trying to move underneath and getting a little bit of room on Dale Earnhardt. Almost sideways there.
Yes, and look at Kyle Petty coming up on the inside back in the screen. He had moved up into the 5th position, but he couldn't quite pull it off. But Dave's car is working so well down on the low side of the racetrack. Of course, now he'd like to get by Earnhardt, which he can't quite do at the start-finish line.
And they're still wheel-to-wheel, and that lets Elliott draw away by about 15 car lengths. Talk about Alabama versus Georgia. This is it. And in there is North Carolina loud and clear with car number 3, the Earnhardt car. And here's South Carolina's Cale Yarborough on the outside. It's live at Talladega here on CBS. 164 laps complete. Bill Elliott, winner of Daytona, his only win this season. Back in February on the point, and then in that second position. It is Earnhardt in the number 3, who's had such a magnificent year, leading the standings, has won 500% of his races. From Tim Richmond's car, this is what it looks like. Tim Richmond's car, yeah, indeed. From 10th place, that's what it looks like.
There's a lot of jockeying going on for positions as those drivers try to move up because they know that they've got to be up there in the first 3 if they're going to have any shot at winning this race on the last lap.
Average speed at 160 laps, 425 miles, 167.321 miles an hour with 4 caution flags today. The record is 173.695 for Yarborough in 1978 at this point.
Now, one of the cars that was running up in the lead pack earlier, Kenny Schrader, has dropped off the pace. It sounded like as his car went by here that he had a sick engine.
Last lap at 199 mile an hour average, 200 miles an hour, 12 cars just inches apart. 11 cars. Allison is out of that pack now. Here they come. Who's going to take it home? In front, number 9, Bill Elliott stays there. Closing in is Earnhardt. Earnhardt has picked up the pace. He's right there in the rear bumper in turn number 1. They're working lap 167 of 188. Cale Yarborough drops to the inside. It's a determined Yarborough maintaining 3rd position, one of his best runs of the year. Won this race in 1985 in the back straightaway. Elliott first. There you see Earnhardt 2nd. Here comes Cale in 3rd. Then Rusty Wallace is in 4th. Davey Allison has faded. He has slipped back. We'll be back with more of the action of the Talladega 500 as we get towards the finish in a moment. Next on CBS, it's the Buick Open as we get toward the finish of this Talladega 500. And tonight on CBS, 60 Minutes, Murder, She Wrote, and the CBS Sunday movie, Murder by Reason of Insanity, starring Candace Bergen. That's tonight on CBS. Here now, what drama is unfolding as Bill Elliott stays in front with 169 of 188 laps complete on this 2.6 mile fastest asphalt in the world. In the 2nd spot is Dale Earnhardt as Elliott tries to draw a bead on 1st place and stay out in front. Davey Allison has slipped back. He's running behind Lake Speed at the present time. Darrell Waltrip in that mix. Here they are, slithering off that corner. You see the 2nd place car, Earnhardt. Then in 3rd, there's Darrell Waltrip being passed by Davey Allison as he pulls back in on Lake Speed. From outside, that's what it looks like. They're at turn 3. Davey Allison deployed on the bottom of the track, high side, number 17. Darrell Waltrip directly in front, Lake Speed. Then the green and white car of Rusty Wallace is in 4th. 3rd is Cale Yarborough. Running in 2nd, Dale Earnhardt, and up on the point is Bill Elliott.
Terry Labonte had dropped back a little bit, Ken, but the last few laps he has pulled back up into that pack again. Whether he backed off a little bit to let his tires cool or just what, but he has pulled back up now. He's challenging Davey Allison and Darrell Waltrip.
Look at Lake Speed coming on. The purple car on the bottom of the track trying to get under the green and white car. Pulls up on the rear bumper of Rusty Wallace. And also in this mix very much is Kyle Petty. You see him back there. There's still a bit of time. 171 of 188 now down. Working the 172nd lap. And Elliott, as well as Earnhardt, seem to have been reborn out here. They are flying.
Well, for two cars that had similar problems on green flag pit stops, they certainly are looking good at this point, and this is the point of the race that they want to look good, of course.
To the bottom of the track, you see Davey Allison. Behind him is Kyle Petty. They're using that bottom strike. Cars working the bottom at 170 laps, 452 and 2/10 miles. Average speed 168.8. The record, Mike Hale in 78 at 174.8 miles per hour. Off the record with 4 cautions.
Davey has been trying to use that inside line to pass and draft back up to the front. It just simply isn't working for him, Ken, as those other cars are running in a pretty straight line, using a little higher groove around the racetrack. And you see Waltrip, he's using a very good line as he goes on the outside of Rusty Wallace, and Wallace has had trouble keeping his car down, and yet Waltrip went right on the outside of him around there. So he is using a good line of drafting. My opinion is it's better to go on the high side in drafting than it is on the low side. Here comes Waltrip again.
Waltrip going for third. Let's check on the number 3 car of Earnhardt. Here's Mike Joy.
Dale Earnhardt riding second. Richard Childress, is he racing or riding right now?
Well, he hadn't said anything since it started back, but I think he's just probably following Bill now. It'll come down to a last lap shootout probably between all those 4 or 5 cars up there.
Well, he told us in pre-race this would be a strategy race. Do you have a game plan, or does he have to make it up as he goes?
I'd say he'll play it by just whatever the rest of the cars will do right around him on that last lap.
And Ned, hasn't that second spot been a good one to be in on the last lap here?
It has been, Mike Joy, for many drivers, although Ron Bouchard, when he won his race here, he came from the 3rd spot across the start-finish line. Cale Yarborough has come from 2nd spot to win, and so have several other drivers. And, yeah, I would say that right now that would be the best place to be, but he's going to have somebody to help him to push him across and passing Bill Elliott. I don't think he could do it by himself.
We'll be back with the exciting finish of the Talladega 500 for 1987 after these...
Tim Richmond, Davey Allison, and Buddy Baker. They have spies in everybody's pit up and down the road to record the consumption they put into the computer to know just where they are against the competition. And to make sure the car gets the correct amount of gas, there's a digital scale here. They know that a full can of gas should weigh 79 pounds. But when they bring that can back from the gas pump, they really don't know how much is in it. So they put it on the scale to find out. And that's the way Rusty Wallace in car 27 has kept right up with the leaders. Back to you, Ken.
So let's take a look at the attrition now as we get to the end of it today. Bobby Hillin, last year's winner, out early after only 2 laps. Morgan Shepherd lost the valve and went away. The only major incident, Brett Bodine, and at that time the car of Neil Bonnet crashed. Neil Bonnet's car has come back on. Richard Petty lost an engine. Means car went out. Foyt's car went out with heat problems today. Jeff Swindell, Stahl, Gant, both Parsons brothers in the identical lap. James Hilton's car has gone out. Fletcher crashed off turn number 2, and that brings you up to date on those now out of the race. Back with it. 177 laps are complete. Here's Elliott in front. Number 3 is in second, and look who's in third. Darrell Waltrip
has fought his way right up there to get himself in position. Now Terry Labonte getting himself in position. They'll get the 10-lap signal when they come to the start-finish line this time.
Waltrip 4th in the Talladega race this past May, 3rd at Riverside, California, 4th at Daytona when they ran the Firecracker 400, and it looks like that team with Jeff Hammond and company, Waddell Wilson, has its act together. Darrell Waltrip closing, moving in. Won this race in 79, 1982, bidding to be the first 3-time winner of the Talladega 500. 10-lap indicator is on the field. Bill Elliott in the back straightaway. Has never won this race, finished 4th in 85. And that is his best finish to date in the Talladega 500. He started from the pole, the last 2 of these.
He's got to be sitting there wondering, well, do they have anything left? Can they pass me? What will they do to me?
Now, if you're superstitious, if you believe in the numbers, remember that only one man has ever won this race from the pole. That was Marcus. 6 drivers have won it from second place. Who started second? Number 3, Earnhardt. Back straight away another time. And they began to just diving and darting and missing each other's bumpers by fractions of inches now at 199 miles an hour. That was the last lap, 199. Elliott setting the pace. Up on the outside, Davey Allison is now riding the handrail. He grabs firmly onto it, and he tries to wring himself out as he takes that high ride around this racetrack. Right to the wall. You have to run inches away from it. Lap after lap. Temperature in the cockpit, but you saw it.
150, 160 degrees.
All day long. And when they run under caution, the heat is incredible. It gets just more heat developing there because it doesn't have any chance to flow.
Was our microphone on to Davey Allison when we talked about the low side of the racetrack wasn't working for him? Now he's trying the high side, and it's working better for him.
He's tucked in behind Terry Labonte's Chevrolet, looking for a room to run here. Car number 9 has led 5 times for 65 laps to this point in the race. There's the break. Here he comes. Davey Allison outside, gets Terry Labonte, comes up along for 17 now. Darrell Waltrip. Labonte's not going to give that spot up. Not very easily. He has to single file it.
Might not be a great deal he can do about it.
180 laps complete. Okay, Ned, your choice. Who's going to win it now?
It's awfully hard to predict, but I believe that Bill Elliott will stay out there because they're going to be jockeying for those other positions back there so much that they'll let him win it.
That's where he wants to be. That's where Earnhardt said he would want to be today. There's Darrell Waltrip in that 3rd spot. You know that he's a savvy driver. He'll have something planned for these last laps. Those guys out back, it's now desperation time. They've got to take their shot. Here comes Allison trying now for 3rd. There you see the 17 of Waltrip. Down on the inside, Davey tucks back in. Not going to come out. Looks inside for a moment here as they come back to the tri-oval. Will he take the shot down low?
Well,
I don't think so. And it hasn't worked. Now look at them stacked up there. Everybody just getting a slightly different edge, scooping up some fresh air into those cars. You're with us live on CBS. This is the Talladega 500. If you've just joined us, it has been a whopper of a race all afternoon. And now, young Davey Allison on the outside makes his move and takes one more. 26 years old, with all the coolness of a 20-year veteran, he takes Waltrip out and comes for number 3, Earnhardt. Earnhardt is in 2nd place. Dives to the inside. Davey Allison is there. Watch that steering wheel, just switching, just picking that car up as the wind gets it as it's moved around. He looks inside. He's taken a car a lap now with the last 3 laps. There's his view. It's a 199-mile-an-hour ride you're taking. You're right there sitting with him. Across the stripe, 183 laps complete. There's the bundle of cars battling to win this one. 5 laps to go. Davey Allison's previous performance in this race 1 year ago, started 7th, finished 7th.
And that was the ride that propelled him into this ride. It was in the Junior Johnson car. You remember Neil Bonnet was working with us in the booth because he was injured at Pocono the week before. They called Davey Allison to drive the car. He qualified his 7th, finished 7th in the race. And as a result, Harry Renier and J.T. Lundy decided he was their man for their car this year, and it was a good choice.
Win, lose, or draw for Renier Lundy. This has been a whale of a race with Davey Allison up here now against some of the absolute masters of the game. Elliott's number 9 in 1st with 4 laps to go, and they cross the stripe this time. Into turn 1. 4 to go. Earnhardt sitting there. And you know that Earnhardt has something planned.
No doubt about it. Bill Elliott knows that he has something planned, and whether he can pull it off or not, well, that's another story.
Alan Kowicki, 2nd place at Pocono last week, falling further back. Run at the Pennsylvania race, Summer 500. Here comes Terry Labonte. He's not out of it at all, nor is Waltrip back there in the 5th position. For that matter, in 6th is Cale Yarborough, who's been up there with a hunt all afternoon. 7th is Lake Speed. 8th is Rusty Wallace. 9th is Kyle Petty. 10th is Buddy Baker. 11th is Tim Richmond. And out back on the lap is Bobby Allison with 3 to go this time by.
Well, it's still not the time to make the move if you have something. If you're a Dale Earnhardt, it's still not the time to make the move. Maybe Davey Allison feels it was time to go. He looked like he wanted to go on the outside.
Cecil Gordon looking on, part of the Dale Earnhardt crew. He a great veteran driver out of Horseshoe, North Carolina, and one of the men that is, I believe, most responsible for Richard Childress and Earnhardt's success, along with Lula Rosa.
David Smith, real Christian young man, watching, waiting to see what their man's going to do.
Well, everybody's putting up their prayers right now. Let's see how they will be answered. It is going to be some finish. Here comes Davey Allison to the inside on Earnhardt. He's going for second place. He has it. He has taken second, and with him comes Waltrip. The time is running out. Davey Allison has picked himself into second place. He closes on Bill Elliott. Side by side, Earnhardt and Waltrip. That will cost them.
Now, who will Cale Yarborough follow? Will it be Waltrip or Earnhardt down the backstretch? That's the one that'll come out ahead. Maybe Cale's just going to make it 3 deep and pass them all.
First place, Bill Elliott, looking for his first win since Daytona, February. You saw it on CBS. In second place, young Davey Allison. Here comes Earnhardt bearing down. Cale Yarborough drives to the inside, back a little further in the field. They come roaring at 200 miles an hour through the tri-oval. Down, Harold Kinder. Looks, the flag is out. This is for the whole banana. Car number 9, Elliott stays in front. Here comes Davey Allison trying to close. Final lap is underway. Here comes Earnhardt in number 3. First 3 cars back straightaway. Allison pulling up. Elliott on the inside. Allison on the outside. Now swinging back to the outside goes car number 9. It's Bill Elliott back into the lead by 2 car lengths. Turn 3.
He was trying to break the draft, and he did a good job of it. But let's see, here is where the crucial point is. Coming off of this turn, it's a long way to the start-finish line, Ken, from turn 4.
Joey Knuckles, crew chief for Allison, looking on intensely. Here they come, driving to the tri-oval. Final time, final moment. Davey Allison moves it out. He's going to take one last shot at the line. Give it to Bill Elliott. Elliott wins. Davey Allison with a wonderful second-place finish. Dale Earnhardt comes across in third. A magnificent 19th annual $500,000 Talladega 500 is won by Dawsonville, Georgia's Bill Elliott, and the siren is beginning to ring. You'll probably hear it in Dahlonega. Bill Elliott has won. Davey Allison second. Earnhardt is in third. You'll meet the champion shortly here at Talladega, Alabama.
Strapped in his car, getting cold towels as he takes a long, well-deserved and well-needed drink, sitting in this number 9 Ford Thunderbird. He's quite dehydrated. You can see he's letting more of the water run down into his body there than he is in his mouth. The winner of the Talladega 500, a deserved victor. A tough, long day for the gentleman from Georgia. Now he's starting to look a bit more like the Bill Elliott we see. Unbuckling the belt, and he's coming out. Soaking wet. Hey, hey. We haven't seen a smile like this since February, Bill. You tired?
You better believe it. That's been a long day.
Okay, what kind of a day was it for you? You thought you had some mechanical problems for a while there. Axles and so forth?
Well, I thought I broke an axle when I came in on that pit stop. The car started out and I was going in, and the rear end shattered. I thought I broke an axle. When we come in, we pull the axles out of it, and evidently it messed up the locker in the rear end. And that fixed it. Whenever we pull the axles back out and put it back in. But then I was all the way in the back. I kept working and kept working, and we put just 2 tires on that pit stop and started off out front. And I just kept hanging on.
You used some new stuff on that last lap, didn't you, Bill?
Well, I tried. I knew if I could catch those other cars, I was in pretty good shape.
So it was a great day for you. Did you have any problems during the course of the day?
No, I just thought axle was the worst thing, and that happened under green, and that all worked out.
Well, good. Congratulations on a great job, Bill Elliott.
Well, I'm happy for Coors and Melling and everybody that helped us out on the car. I mean, it was a great day.
Okie doke, and that's it from Victory Lane.
The 19th career win for Dawsonville, Georgia's pride. Bill Elliott, his 18th super speedway victory. A magnificently driven race, executed all the way down the line in his pits and on the track flawlessly, gave him this win this afternoon.
He did drive a tremendous race. His pit crew did a good job, and of course being able to pull that axle out during the long caution period enabled them to check and see what the problem was, and he said it sort of fixed itself when they pulled the axle out.
Here's Mike Joy with Davey Allison, second place.
Here's a fellow looks a little hot, trying to get that cool suit off and get a little cool air in here. But what a ride today.
Thanks, Mike. We made a run at Bill at the end of the race, but he was just too strong for us. We couldn't do anything with him. Our Havoline Star Thunderbird ran good all day, and we led the most laps, I think. But we got hung out to dry there toward the end and just tried to get back to the front, but we got back to second, and we're pleased with that.
Oh, but the job you did getting from 6th back up to 2nd.
Well, I had to work for it. They made me use everything I knew around this racetrack.
I need a finish sheet. I need a finish sheet.
They've been tossing Gatorade back and forth between Davey and Dale Earnhardt, who's getting a cold towel and a drink just down the row here. Back upstairs to Ken Squire.
Top 11.
So there you see Davey Allison, who seems pleased with 2nd place. But like all Allisons, the only one that counts is 1st. We will be back with more of the exciting story and more details on this